Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours, and a lot to get into over these next 3 hours after a busy weekend. Grizzlies in action, 2 games for them over the weekend. Tigers in action yesterday. They get a win over FAU. A lot of college basketball, a lot of NBA. Combine starts this week. Plenty to get into today. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well. So that Grizzlies road trip, how do you grade it? 2 and 3 on that road trip. Had an all-star break in between.
I will give it a. I will give it a B.
I'll give it a C.
Okay, I was leaning C, and I was in between a C and a B. I know we don't do any plus or minuses.
No pluses
so
or minuses.
I thought I would just give them the grade up and go B.
Pluses and minuses are for really dumb people. So we'll go B and C. I'll take it.
I'll take it. You know, I'm curious. We'll ask the same question to DeMichael at 5 o'clock, what he thought about it. But I mean, you know, I think. Look, you know, Pacers first game back. You know, I think you would have liked it a little
Pacers
bit better.
put it on the Clippers.
Sure did. And yeah, I mean, we talked about it going into this 3-game
and we want the Pacers to put it on Denver tonight.
That's right. I mean, we talked about it during the All-Star break, going into this 3-game stretch. This was not an easy road trip. I mean, these are 3 really good Eastern Conference teams that they played. And so, you know, I think you take that loss against the Pacers, you go out there against Orlando. You know, it was a back-and-forth game. You had a huge fourth quarter where you are able to come back down 9 in the fourth quarter, able to come back, get that win. And then, you know, I thought played well last night against Cleveland. Obviously, the rebounding was a massive issue. But outside of that, if you were able to limit those second-chance opportunities, you would have won that game. Now you didn't. That's, you know, woulda, coulda, shouldas. But I'll be nice and give him a B. But I could have easily gone to C. Yes, I am. I try to be at least.
Very nice.
Well, ask whoever you want. People might give you different answers. I don't know.
I know better.
So you give them a C.
Tigers yesterday win by 19.
Yeah.
Not as much of a margin as at Boca, but in a timing sense, maybe better.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a result you needed, and you know, we talked a lot last week about how
that wasn't a season-saving win.
No. I mean, if you had lost it, it would have, you know,
been
madness.
altering. It'd have been season altering,
right? But I don't think a lot of people were worried about you losing that game yesterday. Certainly wasn't. I wouldn't say it was you had to have that win or you were in. Well, I guess you could say that because if they had lost, I mean, it would have been bad. But I don't think anybody was expecting really a loss in that game. But no, a good win. I think they needed a result like that, especially coming off the loss, and they were able to get it.
And except for the opening minutes, and then Coach Artway set them down.
Yeah, no, he mixed it up and brought in a couple different lineups because, I mean, it was a slow start. Both teams came out really slow. Tigers super slow offensively last night. I mean, just shooting the ball pretty poor to start the game. But then they were able to settle down, especially in that second half. Played really well. I mean, it was a close game at halftime. You know, Memphis able to get the lead late in the first half. Close game, I think 37-32 at the half. And then Tigers came out and just like that, it was, you know, 50-38, and you know it was you know, they opened it up, so you know, a really good second half for them.
And now today, rewarded for going 1-0.
Yeah.
This week between polls, all they did was beat FAU at home, beat them handily.
Yeah.
Jumped up 4 spots.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. Just win, and you know, if you win, it will be you know, you'll move up.
Let attrition happen.
Yeah, and then you know, certainly you're able to lay it on FAU like they did last night, and I'm sure that helped a little bit when people look at that score and see the way that they were able to beat them. So yeah, you just keep winning, and you'll slowly move up those polls.
And yes, I do, and I know it's old folks in my generation.
Okay.
I look at that poll and I see 18 Memphis and 19 U of L, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get that rivalry back. You know, there's been talks about it, and people on both sides have kind of mentioned that there's been discussions. So, I mean, I'd love to get that back. I'd love to see, especially the way both those programs are heading. I think that renew that rivalry, I think, would be a lot of fun.
And one team in front of Memphis, it's Kentucky, and I think Memphis could bring it on. Play Kentucky anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun game, and we've seen Memphis. We saw them have success against a lot of really good teams in non-conference. So I don't think this group would be scared facing anybody in the top 25 right now.
And we talked about it last week. That feeling of you'd almost rather play Kentucky than FAU. Well, so much for that.
Yeah.
Went out and took care of business.
Sure, but I still stick by that. I would rather play any
I do
of these
too.
top
Why do we
25
still stick
teams.
by it?
Because
when do we really trust this team? Do we? How much do we trust it?
Not a ton. I mean, I think I think every game seems a little different with this team. I think they're finding some consistency. I know Jason Munz was tweeting out a lot of nuggets after the game last night of how they're improving, and so I think you start trusting them more. But I think it's a matchup by matchup kind of how you trust this team.
We need
it's
to
weird.
see a big, gaudy opponent.
Yeah.
And you'll get it
Yeah.
first round of the NCAA tournament.
You will. And, depending where they're seated, and I know that's been a lot of discussion. I know we'll talk to Shelby Mast in a little more than an hour. He has them on the 8 line right now. You're talking about a big-time matchup if you're on the 8 line. I mean, that'd be an 8-9, and then turn around if you win that, and you're facing a number 1. So if you want to test, you'll certainly get it if Shelby's right with his bracket. But we'll see. I mean, still a couple weeks left, and if you keep winning, you'll slowly move up. Like you're moving up in the polls, you'll slowly move up kind of on those seed lines. I think can finish somewhere, 6, maybe 5, depending on what happens. So I think you can put yourself in a good spot.
It's a lot of information out there. You got the AP poll, Tigers 18th. You got the net. The Tigers are, 47?
Sure. I don't know where they're at in the net.
47.
I don't want to lie to you. Kim Palm,
40.
I think they're just a little bit up from that as well. So, in
Which
that 40 range.
I wanted to bring that up because you go to Ken Palm, you go to Torvik.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the Tigers are 47 at the net and 22 at Torvik.
Right. 46 in Kim Palm.
They're all
right
in the
there.
same neighborhood. It's no cabal of conspiracy.
Right. No. And I mean, it's because
And it's not going to correlate.
No.
It's not going to be exact.
No.
The Tigers are going to be better than their net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it's a big reason is, all of these sites are pretty much taking the same data and pretty much putting it together in similar ways to get these rankings. And so that's why you see them all down there.
If it was directly linked to net, there's no way the Tigers are a 12 seed. I don't think they're a 10 with Shelby. Now, so we've had Shelby. This will be the third week. I've disagreed, agreed, and going to disagree today.
Yeah. I mean, I think you look around. I think I looked up Jerry Palm because he updated his today. I think you will get we'll get ESPN's tomorrow, but Jerry Palm has him as a 6 seed. So you go 6 seed with Jerry. You've got Shelby with them as an 8 seed. I don't know. I haven't really looked at any other one, so I don't know if there's anything lower than that 8 line. But the Tigers are going to be one that I think you're going to see a lot of people having them in different places.
When we have the bracket in our hands, 3 weeks from today.
Crazy.
Is that right?
Tournaments start next week. I mean, for some conferences.
Starting
on Sunday.
On Sunday, the 2nd, we start elimination games.
Crazy. It's insane.
3 weeks from today, we'll have the big old bracket in front of us.
Wow.
Everything will be answered.
Wow.
Brian, I just feel with every fiber of my being, first-round matchup against somebody from the SEC for the Tigers.
Yeah.
Maybe play-in, and they won in Dayton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're looking
that
at
could be Arkansas.
Oh, man, that would be fun. That would be really fun. I wonder, Jerry Palm doesn't have it set up to where you can see who would be that matchup.
Yes, he does, because he has the 2 11s, Wake and Indiana, playing. The winner would play Memphis in the South.
Okay, see, I can't see that on my screen. Okay, now I do see. I see where you're seeing that.
Boy, that's freaking me out because it's very rare that I have anything technical that you don't have.
No, you're right. I wasn't looking at the correlating Midwest, South, East, and South on top of the first 4. So now I see that, and now you're right.
That would be Indiana or Wake. That's a big-time game.
Yeah,
that gets juices flowing. That's gaudy.
I mean, give me Indiana any day of the week. I don't think they deserve to be anywhere near this tournament. So yeah, I mean, I would love Indiana to get into Dayton, get a win over Wake Forest, and face the Tigers. I'd love that. I mean, that'd be the best matchup, I think.
Are we breaking any show canons rules Any protocol by playing blind resume in the first segment?
I don't think so. It's risky. Okay.
Are you ready?
All right. Give me a resume.
All right, got two teams.
Oh, geez.
Both from Big Four conferences.
Okay.
Both are 16-11.
Okay.
One's quad one, team A, I'll call them.
All right.
Quad one's 4-11.
Okay.
Team B, quad one's 4-8.
Okay. So kind of close in quad ones.
Team A, my subjectivity here, I'm going to say their best non-conference win was over Providence.
Okay.
Which that ain't much.
Okay.
Team B, best non-conference, Syracuse. Not much.
Okay. Ooh.
One team has defeated South Carolina. Team A has defeated South Carolina.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Team B lost to South Carolina. Team A that beat Providence, that beat South Carolina, that's 4-11, 16-11 overall, has a net of 56.
Okay.
Team B, 16-11, 4-8 quad one, non-conference most impressive Syracuse. It's not that impressive. Lost to South Carolina. Net is 38.
Oh,
who would you give the last bid to? 16-11, 56, 4-11, Providence. 16-11, 38, 4-8, Syracuse. You're the committee. You give the bid to?
Neither. I'd probably give it to Team A, but I don't like either of those resumes.
You give it to a 56 over a 38.
Yeah, I mean, with everything else in there.
Well, you just agreed with Jerry Palm.
Oh, man. Who was it?
Who gives it to Indiana over Texas.
Never mind. I disagree. I changed my mind.
Indiana over Texas.
Ugh. I don't want either of those teams in the tournament. But I feel like it's going to be one 68. Or the other. That's the thing. And please, I mean.
Got to have 68.
I don't want anybody ever. I know they're doing it. I'm fine with it.
Can't stop it.
They're going to do it. I don't want anybody to ever give me an argument that expanding the playoffs is a good thing for the sport.
It's not.
It's crazy.
In fact, and I think, I don't know if he's done it on with Dave, but on Twitter, the very distinguished Hall of Famer Mike DeCourcy goes at reducing to 64.
Really? Wow.
Has he advanced that with y'all?
If he has, I missed it.
I am so there.
Yeah, I mean, with
never gonna happen.
With this bubble, I'd be for it. And I'm never in favor of eliminating games. I love games. I want more games. But oh man, this bubble is awful.
Do we want more?
I do.
Because but
that's just being selfish.
But you also know that less is more.
Sure. I don't want when I say I want more games, I don't want this bracket expanded. But I like the NIT. I don't want to eliminate the NIT. I mean,
I used to try to defend the NIT. I can't.
And I'm not even defending it. I just like watching basketball midweek. I mean, I'm not going to be in favor of eliminating because I like watching basketball. I don't care who you put out there. I'll watch it. No, the fact that we're having a conversation about an Indiana team that their head coach is stepping down at the end of the year
because he's bad.
Because nobody wants him as the head coach of their team. He got booed off the floor less than a month ago, and we're talking about that team being in the tournament.
I think the same. Now, not the coaching circumstances around it, but almost the same with North Carolina. The only thing that will get them in is the tournament chair and that gravitas of all that they've accomplished in the past.
Yeah, because of that logo. You stick that logo
that's
there.
That's going to get in over Boise and Georgia.
Yeah, it will.
Should it? I guess so. I guess.
If
it was football, I'd be arguing Georgia over Bill Belichick's Tar Heels.
Of course. But
if you ever got down to one or the other.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a wild debate if we got down to who should be in Georgia or North Carolina in football?
Stay tuned. Come December, maybe.
Let's go. Let's do it. That would be That'd be wild. Old Bill Belichick.
You didn't know I was going to throw blind resume at you first.
I wasn't ready
segment.
for it. As you can tell, I was flustered. I was not ready for blind resumes, but here we are. It's a lot of bad, I'll be honest. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. Plenty to get to. We'll talk more resumes. We'll talk about these teams on the bubble a lot today. But here in our next segment, 3:30, we're going to talk a ton about the Tigers and what they did yesterday with their win over FAU. An 84-65 win over the Owls. A season sweep over FAU. We'll talk about that in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk about the Grizzlies as they split the weekend. Friday night, a win over the Orlando Magic. Sunday night, last night, a loss against Cleveland. We'll talk a little bit about both of those games, what we thought about this 3-game road trip. Out of the break for the Grizzlies. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us. He joins us every week to talk college football and college basketball. A whole lot of college basketball today as we'll talk about the Tigers. We'll talk about everything that happened over the weekend. We'll also talk about this bubble, some of the teams that are currently in, some of the teams that are currently out. We'll do all of that with David Cobb. 4:30, we'll really get into the brackets. Shelby Mast from bracketwag.com will join us. We'll talk a ton of bracketology. Right now, Shelby has Memphis on the 8 line, has them facing Texas in the 8-9 matchup with the winner playing the number 1 seed Auburn Tigers. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the rest of his bracket looks like at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole, the Commercial Appeal Grizzlies beat writer, will join us to talk about the Grizzlies, what they did in these first 3 games since returning from the All-Star break. We'll talk about what's coming up for them as the Grizzlies return home. We'll do that to start our third and final hour. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The preseason pool and patio sale going on right now at Family Leisure. Spring is just around the corner. It's time to start thinking about your backyard entertainment. 2024 pricing on all above ground pools and patio furniture. Beat the rush and get in line for your pool installation right now. Patio furniture is up to 70% off to make room for the incoming inventory. And play gyms, trampolines, and outdoor kitchens, they're on sale too. Don't forget about the spas. They're now up to $3,000 off. And if you mention this ad, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt, who has his Tennessee Titan gear on today, getting ready for the Combine this week.
Big Combine
in
for
Indianapolis. And we will talk a lot of
Yes,
Combine
we
this
will.
week. Quarterback, the number one thing on the Titans' mind, like a lot of others. But Landon's our producer. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We're with you till 6. We're Sports Time. We want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. And it's almost spring, and it's almost spring. You got to get to Family Leisure. Wherever we are, we're always in our Family Leisure studio. This hour always brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the Tigers and their win yesterday over FAU. Both teams started out real slow. First basket 2 minutes into the game, and at the under 12 media timeout, Tigers only shooting 26.7% from the field. Really slow. Penny Hardaway decided he needed to shake it up, brought in some bench guys. You had Demarion Yates who came in. He hasn't seen real minutes. He's seen some, minutes at the end of games here and there, but hasn't seen real minutes
Gave a
since
lift.
the Arkansas State loss. And yeah, he was really good and gave Memphis some really good minutes last night. Finished with 2 points, a rebound, 2 assists, a block, 2 steals. Thought moved the ball really well. Ball didn't get stuck with him. I thought some really good minutes from Yates yesterday, but it was really out of the second half that the Tigers really put it on FAU. A 9-0 run to start the second half, and next thing you knew, it was 50-38. Tigers in control. They didn't take their foot off the gas after that. Dane Danger, fantastic after a really poor game against Wichita State, a game that afterwards, a lot of people asking, is he injured? Is something wrong? What's going on? Because we're just not used to that. Ever since entering the starting lineup, Dane Danger has been fantastic. He was much better against FAU. Tigers really good on the boards, limited their turnovers, only 10 turnovers for the Tigers in that game yesterday. I thought a really, really good performance by the Memphis Tigers, and another win, a comfortable win over FAU.
I'm right there with you. Top story for me, Tigers wallop FAU again. They did by 28 in early January, and Boca by 19 in late February yesterday in Memphis. Can't beat them bad enough or often enough to get revenge for that NCAA tournament loss in Columbus 2 years ago. I don't care if you play them, you beat them 20 straight times by average of 20. It'll never be sufficient to get over that loss. But yesterday, no problem. As the Tigers, they had it going versus the Owls. Lots of Owls in this league.
Oh, yeah.
In the AAC, Temple, yesterday FAU, and another group of Owls on Wednesday.
That's right.
Rice,
your favorite. I'm making a point to go see Rice on Wednesday, Brett.
Tell him I said
I'll
I
be
hope
there
I never
for
see
you.
him again.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's the weekend for the Grizzlies. Split the weekend, Grizzlies with the win over the Magic, but then they lost to Cleveland last night. I think this team is starting to play better. I thought they played really well last night against Cleveland, but it was the rebounds that just put them out of the game. When you give up that many offensive rebounds, when you give up that many second chance points, 31 second chance points for the Cleveland Cavaliers, it just really puts you out of that game. Cleveland didn't shoot the ball well. Grizzlies really did shoot the ball well, but it was all of those second chance points, having success off of the glass. But the Grizzlies did get a win on this road trip Friday night against the Magic, a 105-104 win over Orlando. In the second half, Orlando played really well. It looked like they were going to get in control of that game and even win it, up by 9 about midway through the fourth quarter. Grizzlies able to go on a run, get the lead, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. with a massive block at the end of regulation to get that win. So 1-2 off of this 3-game road trip. I was really worried about them getting swept on this 3-game road trip against 3, I think, really good Eastern Conference teams. Now you return home, and I think guys are getting more comfortable as you're playing for the first time in a really long time with a fully healthy group. And so I think you'll see them get better and certainly be comfortable once they get back home.
The Grizzlies really are having to reacclimate themselves to a lot of rotation.
That's right.
My top story, Grizzlies lost to the team with the best record in the NBA last night, but they at least competed. They fought.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Oklahoma City game. It wasn't like some other games
Clippers
against more glamorous teams or as glamorous teams. They fought last night, and it's going to make for a fun rematch Friday, March 14th at FedEx Forum. Even the contentiousness over the ball and Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know what Courtney Alexander, the analyst, was talking about. New York in Bain's face. I don't know what he was going there. And how do we get so much Courtney Alexander now? Too?
Yeah, I don't know.
College pro, man. There's got to be 2 of him doing so many games. But that's going to be a fun rematch coming up. The next 9 out of 11 will be at 191 Beale Street. Phoenix tomorrow night, and Phoenix is in full free fall. Yeah. It's over, toss the towel, collapse.
Yeah, no, they are really struggling right now, so I think a really good opportunity for the Grizzlies when they return home. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. When we return, we'll talk a ton about the Tigers and their win over FAU. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
yet, but it's close. And right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Bobby J says get to the Gossett Kia President's Day sales event today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. You'll find 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S with more power, larger cargo bed area, and more ground clearance than Nissan Pathfinder $398 a month. 2025 Sportage EX, better overall consumer rating than Toyota RAV4, longer warranty for Evans.com at $279 a month. All with $49.99 due at signing. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
$20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. K4 SEO 233118, MSRP 25320. Telluride SG 59204, MSRP 41060. Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes tax filing license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. CD for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been active as far as accidents go out here within the last hour. Like earlier, we had that wreck 240 southbound at South Parkway out of the Midtown area. Trying to pick up I-40 here at Danny Thomas across the I-40 bridge, headed back over into West Memphis. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
So Tigers looked good yesterday, an 84-65 win over FAU, and I think a lot of people, whether they wanted to say it or not, maybe a little worried about this game in particular. Coming off a loss, you saw the fall of really everything, polls, brackets. You saw that fall after you took the loss against Wichita State. I think a lot of people a little worried about this game coming into it, but no issues. It was a slow start for both teams, certainly a slow start for the Tigers, but ultimately strong, really strong out of the second half, out of the halftime break, and really able to put FAU away early in the second half, cruise to another victory.
But you know who wasn't kind of prophets of worry? I don't think anybody was a prophet of doom.
No.
But the prophets of worry. I was one of the worried ones, and my Tiger bankroll selection showed it. I took FAU and risked $40 and lost.
Yeah.
The rest of y'all all took the Tigers.
That's right.
Y'all were not scared. But here's some people that wasn't worried. The people most closest to the team, starting with the head coach.
Yeah.
All week he said the week off's going to be good for us. We're going to play really good Sunday.
Yep.
Greg Aston, when he joined us on Thursday, said they're going to play well. I heard Dave say it in the morning. I know Jason Munn said it with us last Friday afternoon.
Matt Infield when he joined us.
Thank you very much. And when asked of Jason on Friday what he thought the Tiger record would be the rest of the way, he said he didn't think they'd lose another game.
That's right.
So the people closest to it that are paid to know it best and be supportive when they can, but I think also certainly in this realm they try to call it like they see it. They were all saying it's going to be an impressive game on Sunday and a blowout. They were all right.
Yeah, they were. And I think I loved what Jason said. And I mean, when you look at it, and, you know, I think we talked about it a couple times last week of you get a week off, especially after a loss. Penny Hardaway is going to hammer those guys. He said it earlier in the season of this group I can kind of get after. I can kind of coach differently than I've been able to coach in previous years. And so I'm sure all week, I said it multiple times last week, they were just stewing over that loss. No midweek game. All week you're focusing on, hey, we cannot go out and do what we did Sunday again this Sunday. And then what Jason Munn said with us is you look at them, at the way they've performed after losses, have not lost back-to-back games all season long. They have bounced back after every single loss. And you look at some of those wins, and you're talking double-digit wins. La Tech after Auburn was a double-digit win. Ole Miss after Mississippi State was a double-digit win.
FedEx Forum's been a beachhead.
It's been really good. Even Charlotte on the road, that game kind of got weird at the end. But for most of that game, especially late in the second half, Tigers up 16, 17 points, then kind of let that slip away at the end, but still got a nice win. Florida Atlantic now, a double-digit win. This team responds really well after losses. Not a lot of losses on the schedule, but when they have happened, this team has done a great job of responding.
And remember when Matt Infield said to us last Tuesday, look forward to visiting him tomorrow. We'll give him his props.
We will.
He said, the game at Wichita, they did lose in overtime and had a lead in the ball with less than a minute to play.
Yeah. I mean, that game
it's not like they went up there and got hammered 19.
No. I never want to play the game of, let's look at the schedule and this win could have been a loss, this loss could have been a win. But that game very easily could have been a win for the Tigers. I mean, you're talking about...
It's a lot more subject to turning that into a win than anything of a win to a loss.
Definitely.
And in conference.
Sure. And even before, I mean, turning any of the losses before to a win, I think that's the closest that any of those have been.
Well, that's a great point. Maybe Clemson on the road.
Sure, maybe, yeah. But I mean,
But anything else? I mean, now I know outsiders would say, "Well, UConn." No. If you say UConn should have won that game, you're telling me you didn't watch it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Memphis in control pretty much all of that game except for
almost.
The last, 5 minutes.
Gave it to them to get them to overtime.
Sure did. So
then nobody thinking they could win in overtime. Nobody.
No, not at all. I mean, you go to overtime in that game, and I think everyone was already writing. All right, lost. You played great, but you just you couldn't hold on at the end.
The Virginia margin was narrow, but I think if Memphis and Virginia, if they played the Hugh Freeze proverbial 10 times.
Oh man. No, I think
which would be really weird scheduling.
It would be very strange. Forget conference tournament, forget NCAA tournament. We're just playing Virginia 10 times.
Doesn't everybody at SEC Media Day have to ask him about that? Let's just go over your whole schedule. Who all in this year if you played them 10 times? Let's go game by game. Let's go W's and L's.
I would love that. Out of all of your losses last year, Coach, rank which ones, if you played them 10 times, you would beat 9
So
out
you're
of 10.
saying you really just never lost?
Right, yes. It just,
That's interesting math. Anyway, let's get back to basketball.
Very weird math. But no, I think if you saw Virginia again, it would be I think it'd be a lot different game. I mean, that was a game Memphis had to claw their way back, down big at halftime. They come back and win it by 2. I think you see Virginia again today. I mean, you're probably beating them by double digits. I really don't like this Virginia team.
Probably the best shot Virginia had was that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that was
probably.
I would say so.
And I don't even like this conversation because that's not how it's played.
No.
We know sports is a one. I mentioned you can't beat FAU often enough and bad enough for that one shot. But that one shot, that was the igniter for them to go to a dang Final Four.
Yeah, look where that propelled
could have
them.
been the Tigers.
Exactly. You look where that propelled them. And, I mean, we were all talking about it before the game started of, oh, wow, look how this is setting up. Purdue just got, upset by Fairleigh Dickinson and Memphis just beat FAU. And who
I know
knows
people
where this
booking
stops.
rooms.
Yes, I mean.
And getting ready to, and looking at the bracket, going to run into Tennessee.
Sure. And just, the way that game ended. And so you're right.
Bald fist Tennessee.
Well, yeah, you finally get your revenge against them. They don't want to play, so let's just meet them in the tournament. But no, I thought a really solid win for the Tigers yesterday over FAU, and I think gives them a lot of confidence going into these last couple of games.
22-5, 12-2 in the league. Only Rice and South Florida remain at FedEx Forum. 2 on the road at UAB next Sunday afternoon, and a week from tomorrow night in San Antonio, the site of the Final Four.
Yeah.
Against UTSA.
Yeah.
I still say a loss on UAB. We're not talking about you losing to Texas Antonio. A loss at UAB is not a seed killer because I think the very best seed now is maybe 6, probably 7.
Yeah.
Probably 7. The bottom, with that loss, and maybe even a Saturday loss at Dickies, is probably a 10.
Yeah.
If you're a 10, it's in effect a 7.
That's right. Yeah.
That's who you play.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're in that trading range right now, and
it is.
We'll
and
see where
the
they fall.
goal now is stay out of 8-9.
Yes, avoid even if you go to
all right. How
10.
do you do it? How do you stay out of 8-9? You tell me, Bryant. How do you avoid 8-9?
Win, just win.
Win, baby.
You win, and you'll be fine.
Win games.
Yeah, I mean they keep winning. I think
Mark Wise, our friend,
fine.
has said 1,000,000 times, "Who'd you beat? Where'd you play?"
Yep. Just win. Just win.
Just win.
And I think they're looking really good right now to do that. And I think I'm curious to see where Joe Lunardi has them tomorrow in his bracket. But
you know where Joe's.
Well, he's gonna have him as a 5 seed, Brett.
Maybe a 2. Maybe a 2.
But no, I think 6 is if you win out here and you go and win the tournament. I think you're talking a 6 seed for the Tigers. I think
you're right.
I think they can.
And
I think that 6 seed is still very there.
Maybe, with everything going nuts around the country.
Sure.
Squeeze in as the last 5.
I mean, I could see it. I really could. I mean, because if you went out
in 5-12 games, no cupcake.
Oh no, Brett, you talk about don't want to be in the 8-9 game. I'd rather be a 7 or certainly a 6.
There's been a lot of people win brackets riding those 12s.
Well, that's the thing is you see the bracket and you immediately go to those 5-12s. There's got to be at least one upset in the 5-12.
And then that 5-12 that the 12's favored in.
Oh, jeez.
When the lines come out.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean that's just a strobe light going off.
No, yeah, I don't want to see it. I mean, right, you're talking right now. Just looking at, I have Jerry Palms pulled up, so I'll just use his. When you're talking about these are his 12s currently: Drake, McNeese, Liberty, and UC San Diego.
3 of the 4 of them are nightmare matchups for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't want to run into those teams.
Liberty doesn't scare me.
No, Liberty doesn't do a ton for me. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Liberty. But those other 3, I don't want to run into them. I'd rather not.
I don't know if they scare me or not because, honestly, I haven't watched a second of it.
Yeah,
I've watched some of UC San Diego,
Yep.
a lot of Drake, and who's the other one?
McNeese.
A smidge, not a lot,
yeah.
but a lot of Drake.
Yeah,
Drake was on yesterday.
Yeah, they sure were right after the Tigers.
Yeah, and they're big men. Some players.
They're a really good team. They're fun
That
to
will
watch.
be the upset darling for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Drake is, if they get in on that 12 line, there's going to be a ton. I don't know if you can find. I'm sure you can. I don't know how easy it would be to find, but they will be the most popular 12-5 upset pick.
So Tigers now 13-14 this year against the point spread.
Wow.
And been hard to pick because of the line. They've just been so heavily favored against all these people from this hocus pocus league.
Yeah, I mean, it's the odds makers are seeing a team that is nationally ranked, playing well, and then they see the opposite on the other side, and so they're making them big favorites. And Tigers are winning the games; they're just not covering the spreads. I mean, we've talked about it a lot with Bruce Marshall, with Doug Kazarian, about how a lot of people either want to stay away from this Tigers team or they just want to fade them. And because of how poor they've been against the spread, but at the end of the day, who cares? They're winning games, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
Since Maui, since Thanksgiving, since late December, the Tigers have been underdog 2 times.
Yeah,
Clemson and Ole Miss.
Yeah,
won both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't make this team an underdog. It's the mistake you'll run into.
Remember that on brackets and on
for sure.
For News Matter. No, there's no News Matter only for gambling.
Yeah, we are
for winning cash.
But it's 2025.
It is very much so
for educational purposes. No,
it's not. If you're going to Las Vegas, no, it's for gambling.
No. Yesterday
it's for crossing the bridge, going to left Memphis, or getting your phone out,
pulling out that wheelbarrow and loading it all up.
That's it.
2 interesting notes from the ESPN broadcast that they talked about yesterday. Memphis is 7-1 when Colby Rogers scores 12 or more points. He is, if he is locked in, if he is scoring the ball,
he makes it easier.
He makes it a lot easier. We talked about
think of the Ole Miss game.
Yes, and we talked about having those 3 options. You feel like most every game PJ Haggerty is going to be on. You feel pretty confident Tyrese Hunter is going to be effective. If you have that third guy in Colby Rogers, it just makes everything a lot easier.
At the Kentucky game now, 3 weeks ago, ran into an Ole Miss, not assistant coach, but a staffer.
Yeah.
And he said, is the Wichita State transfer still making everything he throws up?
Well,
I said, well, not like that day.
No, that day was special, but yeah, that's hilarious. But it was true. I mean, he was lights out against Ole Miss. The other thing that they threw up there, Memphis is 18-0. I guess now 19-0 because this was before the game ended. Memphis is 19-0 when leading with 5 minutes left in the game. Now, a lot of those they're up by double digits, and it's just run the clock out. But even, you look at some of those close games that they've been in, down with 5 minutes left. If they're in a close one, if they're leading, if they have the lead, they are finding ways to win them. And so that's another thing, to keep in mind as we get later, as we get into conference tournament, as we get into NCAA tournament. This team has guys on this team. This is a really good team, and they have guys that when you need them to make a play late, they find ways to make them. And so I think this win's big. I think it gives them a lot of momentum going into these last 4 games, and we'll see how everything plays out.
Speaking of hypothetical gaming for funsies, Tiger Bankroll.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
And it took a turn yesterday.
It did.
I was the only one that took FAU plus the 4.5. I wagered 40, lost, so I went from 1760 to 1720. So I'm up 720 for the year. We all started with a hypothetical $1,000. Your brother Connor, he's now 17-10, and he went into yesterday at plus 1390, up 390 for the year. Wagered 390, came out of yesterday 1780, and he is now the leader. Darian is second at 17-10 in picks at 1555. You're in third, 12-15. You've won $5 for the year, $1,005. That's plus, though.
I was about to say, at least we're plus.
Right,
Honestly,
trust me. Been a lot of
Yeah.
nights and a lot of weekends I take up $5.
I was about to say, at this point in the year, I'm just glad to be up. We're in the green, and that's all
Bet
that
you up
matters.
$5. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
That would look pretty good with that walk of shame to the car.
That's what I'm saying. I
down
mean,
a lot more than $5.
If I'm leaving the casino with an extra $5 in my pocket, I mean,
Good time had ball.
Exactly. You know, how bad was the night, really? You know, so.
Which also, all four of us plus the money for the year.
That's
People
good.
have been riding.
That's really
us.
good. That is good picking by all four of us. So,
Darian continues his year of dominance.
Yeah, no, he's been really good. I don't know what it was, but whatever magic Johnny
He's
had,
going to have his
he
own
gave it to
900
Darian.
number before long.
That's right. Well, he might need it. I don't know, but no, he's been really good. But right now it's Connor in the lead, and we'll see if he can.
I was worried about
keep
money management down to the end, but we're all going to be there where we all can.
We're all
but
gonna be
even at the
throwing
end,
long darts.
you don't know when the end is.
No.
So you like if we got down to the NCAA tournament and all the money was like it is today, you can't empty it out. Because if the Tigers advance, you got to have something to play with.
Got to have something to play with. So yeah, it's gonna be weird. I think we're gonna see a lot of long bombs thrown. And
you think offense, not defense, by the rest of the year?
I think so. I mean, I think at least me and Darian, I think we're gonna start shooting long and trying to get back in it. I don't know about you and Connor.
Defense. I like being up 760.
You're in a good spot right now. You can play defense.
Our 76% return, as I look at it.
Bingo. Look, you can play defense. Darian and I cannot. If we want to be in this game, we cannot play defense right now. So we have to start playing offense.
Good win for the Tigers.
Really good win. Really good win for the Tigers, and hopefully it can continue their success. Obviously, like you said earlier, Rice Wednesday night at home for the Tigers. We'll see what they can do against the Owls. Let's go ahead and get to another break. When we return, we've got to talk some Grizzlies. A 1-1 weekend for the Memphis Grizzlies. They beat the Magic Friday night, but lose to Cleveland last night. We'll talk all about it next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no-interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
It's inevitable. Rain, snow, and ice are coming, and they'll make driving a challenge. Thankfully, the experts at Tire Rack know a thing or two about conquering winter's worst. New tires elevate traction and braking, and they'll keep you safe. Tire Rack sells only the best, like the full line of Falcon tires. Go to TireRack.com/Colin, build a tire and wheel package for DIY installation. Ship fast and free, and backed by 2 years of free road hazard protection. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Menas today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 3. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports Station 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Tires. Here are your hosts, Glenn Starks, Sports Movie, and Brian Davis.
Well, we talked about the Tigers. Now we got to talk about the Grizzlies. 2 games for them over the weekend, a 1-1 weekend. Started off Friday night with a win over Orlando, a game that went to the end, a 105-104 win over the Magic. Then last night on national television, Grizzlies take a loss 129-123. We talked about it earlier, but last night it all came down to what was happening on the glass. Cleveland finished the game 22 offensive rebounds, 31 second chance points, and 48 points in the paint. That was the difference maker last night.
And Cleveland's good. The record shows it.
Yeah.
They're going to be the 1 seed in the East. They're going to have home court advantage all the way through.
Yep.
And it'll be a good battle to see who has the better record between them and Cleveland, or I'm sorry, in Oklahoma City, if they should meet in the finals. Right now, Cleveland has a little bit of an advantage, not much, a half game. We'll see how that goes the rest of the year. They were the aggressor, and I think any time in sports, the aggressor wins. The aggressor at home certainly does. The last game of a road trip, a lot of different motivations for the Grizzlies last night.
No, absolutely. And, I mean, you look at that Cleveland team, they're very long. They've got athletic bigs down low that can really cause a lot of damage. And you saw that last night. Darius Garland was out last night, so they didn't have their guard. But Donovan Mitchell made up for it. He was fantastic last night. It really did not seem like the Grizzlies had any answer for him. And it wasn't a great game for Cleveland outside of what they did on the glass, getting those second chance opportunities. They really struggled in that game, struggled to knock down shots, hit threes. I saw this nugget earlier today. Cavs not named Donovan Mitchell started the game 0 for 19 from 3, but when you look at it and when you watched it, a lot of those turned into offensive rebounds, put back second chance opportunities. And so, that was a huge part, because I thought outside of that, and it was glaring. I mean, it's what led to the loss, but the Grizzlies did not play bad last night. It was the Grizzlies shot the ball well, and I thought played some nice defense. It was just cannot get those boards and cannot limit those second chance opportunities.
If the playoffs started today, I'd take Boston over Cleveland.
Yeah, I think so. And, I mean,
and I take Denver over Oklahoma City.
Sure. I mean, 2 teams that have done it, and they have a bulk, certainly for Boston, bringing back pretty much everybody. Denver still has a bulk of that group that did it a couple years ago. So, yeah, I mean, you take that experience every single day, but I do think both, in the East and in the West, I think we're going to have a really fun playoff because, I think a lot of teams in the West that can compete, and I think, the top of the East really, really good.
The win Friday night, 105-104 in Orlando, that's as close to in the mud as we get now, isn't it?
I think so. And I thought a really good win, the way that they were able to battle back. You saw, especially after a lot of talk about Ja Morant and can he show up late? Can he kind of put that cape on and put the team on his shoulders? He scores 10 points in the fourth quarter, 10 points that they really, really needed. You had Jaren come up with that big stop. As the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, you need him to make plays like that on the defensive end late in games. And, both those guys able to step up. Talked about it earlier, down 9 in the fourth quarter. You go on a big run, you're able to regain the lead and win that game. I thought it was a really impressive win for the Grizzlies.
I wonder when the last time somebody won an NBA game with the winner in regulation only scoring in the 90s.
Oh, man.
I bet it's been a while.
It's been, I would say it's probably been a really long time. I mean, you just don't see it. And like you said, I mean, this is one of those games that both teams score 100, but it's not a game you see a lot with 105, 104 being the final score. It was a lot of defense. We know how good defensively Orlando is, and we know how good defensively the Grizzlies are.
I got the last one. Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th.
Okay, wow.
Rockets 94, Raptors 87. One
of those games you forget about on Super Bowl Sunday. It's real
3
low
weeks.
Scoring. It's crazy. That's insane. And Super
Bowl. 2 weeks. Yeah.
Still, I mean, it feels like forever ago. When you talk about the Super Bowl, I mean, that sounds like it happened a year ago at this point.
That's a lot of games. Even with the All-Star break, a lot of play in there.
A ton of games.
105-104 is in the mud now.
Sure is. No, it is. And what this league is offensively, I mean, it was a lot of stops. It was a lot of defense in that game. It was ugly at times, but Grizzlies able to get that win, and unfortunately the loss last night. But I thought played well. You talked about it earlier in your not top story, I think it was, of how we've seen this Grizzlies team really get outmatched against some of the really good teams in the league. You think of OKC, you think of the Clippers.
And I won't throw the pejorative on it. I won't say get pushed around. I won't say back down. I won't say certainly not punked. Just hadn't been able to stay toe to toe.
No.
Last night it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, and so
I think capable of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you want to see that because I think we're having.
I do question: do we have an enforcer?
I don't think so. You might have an enforcer in the making, but I don't think you have an enforcer right now.
Who's in the making? Edey?
I think Zach Edey could be one. I mean,
and he got in the fracas last night.
I was about to say that's one thing that I've loved about Zach Edey is.
Now we're throwing more punches than was thrown, though. It was no fracas to it.
No. But he is, anytime there's some sort of little scuffle or anything, Zach Edey's right there. I mean, he's going to be in the mix. I mean, at that size, you certainly want him to be. But I'll take that guy if I'm in a fight. I want that guy in my corner. So
we got him on reach, don't we?
Yeah. So I mean, I think he could be your enforcer in the making, but right now, no, I don't think they have that guy that you turn to as the enforcer. But we'll see what they can do as they return home. Not easy when you come out of the break on a 3-game road trip. So I know that team ready to get back home, play some games at FedEx Forum. But let's go ahead, wrap up this first hour, get to a break. When we return, talking a whole lot of college basketball. David Cobb from CBS Sports, he joins us next.
Specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. So much better now on 240 southbound at South Parkway, where we had some wrecks earlier coming out of the Midtown area. Still moving right now. I-40 over here at Chelsea. It's trying to pick up going outbound on Sam Cooper, passing Perkins, as traffic gets a little bit busier now on 385 Billmore Parkway, headed out towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us every Monday afternoon to talk college football and college basketball from CBS Sports. David, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the Tigers. They get another win yesterday, bouncing back from that loss a week ago against Wichita State, this time over FAU. A game where Dane Danjo, we've talked about him a lot since Penny Hardaway put him in the starting lineup. He has been fantastic. What did you see from the Tigers yesterday in their win over FAU?
Yeah, taking care of business. And by the way, pardon the road noise. I'm about to pull in for my first driving range session of the year.
There you go. Weather nice.
All good.
Yeah, well, maybe not my first of the year, but my first where it actually feels like the new year is upon us.
There you go.
Like maybe the winter is done. Hopefully, the all the worst of that is behind us. But yeah,
What'd you take out of your lesson?
Well, the short game takes a long time to get dialed back in.
Got to warm it up. I mean, it's weather got to get warm. You
Tight
gotta
line
get
time of year,
warm.
too.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like
Break out that Texas wedge from the 100-yard marker in, David. Break that putter out.
I know. Sometimes you just got to swallow your pride and do it.
Swallow your pride? I practically have to re-grip mine.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I did get my wedges re-gripped last week because I was like, you know what? There is no way I'm playing golf this week, so I might as well get this taken care of now.
Smart.
And, so I did that. The ball striking comes back pretty well. But the short game, it's like I just have to relearn it every year.
Hit the big ball first. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's coming up chunky when you haven't had a 52-degree wedge in your hands for 6 months.
Yeah, not a lot of practice to those, is it?
Yeah, I know. Like you can get a little putting green for your office, keep the putter sharp, and you can go to Top Golf during the winter and keep your driver sharp. But the short game, it's a lifelong thing, I guess. But no, I was
mystified many.
Yeah, and it's like with Tiger too. That's the thing. It's like you watch him in the indoor league, and he can still strike the ball pretty well, but you get him out there and make him play 72 holes worth of a short game, little finesse shots that you don't practice a whole lot, and you see where the money is really made.
And I would imagine at his age and basically the bionic man, surgically repaired body, to put in those hours of practice, it probably hurts his back a lot to work on short game.
Yeah, well, I don't have that excuse. I wish I did. It's just more fun to get out there and hit balls than it is to
Dang right.
go
right.
and stand next to the putting green with a wedge. Yeah, but no, I love this time of year because golf is upon us and the sun
transition.
starts shining more. Mm-hmm. And we're heating up towards March Madness. Saturday was the last Saturday of March, which I had to double take on that.
That's
it feels
crazy.
like it's gone by really fast.
Starting next Sunday, we have elimination games all the way through Selection Sunday.
How about that? Yeah. So I think, so this was the last Saturday in February. Every other,
we knew what you meant.
however many Saturdays are March. And so, it's time to start it's time to start showing what you got a little bit. And Memphis did
And the Tigers showed it.
They did. Yeah, a comfortable win against a team you should beat comfortably. So that was good to see because, Penny put himself out there a little bit, kind of poking at the selection criteria. And I thought he was right to do that because Memphis has one of the most confusing, difficult to evaluate resumes, and you can go either way with it. And I think there's going to be a divergence of opinions on the selection committee about what to do with Memphis. Because if you go and look at it strictly based off a resume, boy, it is nice with the high-end victories. Then you go and look at predictive analytics, which I think we've gotten a little too reliant in the selection process on the net and on
I know so.
Ken Palm, and those skew Memphis in a bad direction. And so the more you can go out and stack wins, like the win you got on Sunday, where you beat a team you should beat and beat them convincingly, the better that's going to bode for them come Selection Sunday. And I think if you watch Memphis, which I would challenge the selection committee to do, I would challenge the bracketologists to do. They don't ace it every time, but I think about 60, 70% of the time in the AAC, they've looked like a team that's better than a 7 seed or an 8 seed. Mm-hmm. Now, they've had their moments where they haven't looked good, but most teams do throughout the course of the season. I think that's just something we have to accept. But they're playing well at the moment, and you mentioned Dane Danger Bryant. I mean, he's just something that a lot of teams can't counter and can't match, and that a lot of teams don't have. A lot of teams don't have a guy who you can dump it down to on the block in a traditional post-up anymore. I mean, that's kind of a lost art in the game of college basketball and in basketball in general. And Memphis has that, and that's something in their belt that other teams are going to have to really prepare for and deal with come NCAA tournament.
And if you double him, he has a really good ability to throw it back out to a wing three from any number of people.
Exactly. The variety of weapons who can shoot the ball right now from Memphis is staggering. I mean, you knew Colby Rogers was going to be that. You didn't know who else was going to be that. You didn't know P.J. Haggerty was going to have
I thought Tyrese would. I thought he would be. And
he's been even better than expected. So,
sure has.
Now you throw in P.J. Carter, who the last couple of months has started to look a lot more comfortable. And Dante Harris has kind of been a nice addition who can take some of the minutes load off the other guards. So, I like where they're at. Are they a perfect team? No. But they're a really good team, and they're a team that has a chance to have a great run here down the stretch.
Do we have two perfect teams? Is that it? Duke and Auburn?
Oh, they sure look pretty close to perfect. I wouldn't put anyone else in the category or in that stratosphere with those guys. They're in a league of their own at the moment. But I would maybe look at Houston. They are just so good defensively, and they have more shooting now than they have.
But haven't they been? And something catches them every time.
Yeah, right. Like when you play that low-scoring, slow pace, you do open yourself up to
backdoor wide open.
Yeah, if a team gets hot and you want to play a low
hurt.
game, yeah, it can burn you a little bit. But they are really tough to deal with. I think it's Auburn and Duke in that order. Auburn first, then Duke, and then I'd put Houston in there. But I think Auburn and Duke have separated themselves.
But Duke did beat Auburn.
They did. That was at Cameron Indoor, if I recall.
And that was right after Auburn they had gotten home from Maui, and that was the first or second night of SEC-ACC Challenge. But Duke did win.
But Duke, to counter, they do have the losses to Kansas and Kentucky. And Kansas is a little bit of an enigma right now. That Kentucky loss, Kentucky was full strength then. The interesting thing about Kentucky now, Kentucky's not full strength. They've been dealing with, I think, a tougher injury run than any other team that we're looking at in the top 25 right now. This is how important Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson is. So if you're going to knock Duke for the loss to Kentucky because Kentucky's taken some losses in the league, well, you got to have an asterisk next to that because Kentucky in November was a much healthier team than Kentucky in February.
Yeah, and not to mention Kirk Krissa, too. I mean, a guy that they were going to rely on a lot at that guard position. Speaking of those injuries, how close are they to getting those guys back? I know Lamont Butler is very close, I believe, to returning. I mean, how close are we? Are we going to get a full-strength Kentucky team?
Well, somebody told me Jackson Robinson's been practicing shooting left-handed.
Oh.
So,
all right.
I mean, that's not a good sign.
Mm-mm.
He's one of your best three-point shooters. He's practicing shooting left-handed. What I think is interesting about Kentucky, because I don't know that they can fully bank on the okay, so you got Creasa, who at this point I kind of tend to think that he's maybe going to try and take a medical redshirt.
Yeah.
I think he's under the threshold to where he could do that.
He's only played
back
8 or 9 games this season.
Right.
It can't be
So he's
many.
come back for year 11 of college basketball, which would be great for him, great for his wallet. And then if he does that, right, like if he does that, then Kentucky's got to have Lamont Butler available. I think with Butler, it's just a nagging issue with his shoulder to where he's not going to be 100%. And then with Robinson, I don't know. When Mark Pope has talked about these guys, and Andrew Carr is among them, he's just kind of been like, basically what Kentucky needs is an all-star break. But there is no all-star break in college basketball. And so, I mean, if sometimes these guys aren't even practicing. I mean, Carr didn't practice for a few weeks. He's back out there now, but how durable is that? I guess that's my ultimate concern with Kentucky is the durability. But if we get to Selection Sunday and Mark Pope says we are 100% fully healthy, ready to go, then boy, they're going to go farther than whatever their seed line suggests. Because I mean, just look at what they've done when they have been healthy. They beat some of the best teams in college basketball, and they have more quality wins than anyone in college basketball. So, yeah, they're one of the most interesting teams in the country right now because of what their ceiling is versus kind of the issues with their health.
David, most years at this time, I'm at around 15 or 20 that could get on that run to the Final Four with about 4 or 5 or 6 that could win it. I may be at as few on both as I've ever been. It feels a lot of fun. It always is, and maybe feels more wide open than reality because we were talking about that perfect 2. Last year we had the perfect 1 in UConn. I think I'm around 4 or 5 teams that can win it and about 7 or 8 that can get to it.
Yeah, so the definitely can win it category, Auburn, Duke, Houston, I believe. If the breaks fall right in the bracket,
I agree.
I believe Houston could win it. Going further than that, Florida is a team to me that I'd be really afraid of.
Florida and Michigan State about my only other 2.
Yeah. And then there's a few kind of down ballot surprise teams that I might look at for the can get there.
Wisconsin?
Conversation. Wisconsin could probably be in that conversation because they're so much better offensively than they've ever been. I mean, it's crazy what Greg Gard has done with that team. And then I'd also say Arizona, totally bombastic. They could flame out against an Ivy League team in the second round. I mean, yeah, right. But the high end is like, whoa, they can put up a lot of points. So they'd be in that. Maybe they can make it as a 4 seed for me. And then the other one, even a little bit further down. I don't know where they'll end up on the seed line, but Michigan. Dusty May has got a good team there in year 1. So I don't think they can win it all, but I think they could get there.
Look what we just did, David. We just rattled through a lot of different names. We never mentioned third Saturday in October, the cigar game teams, Tennessee and Bama.
You're right. Yeah, so I think
I
it's
just
fatal
freaked
flaw.
everybody out cross-pollinating sports. But.
I do it all the time. But no, with Alabama, it's the defense, and with Tennessee, it's the offense. So I think those are sort of the fatal flaws in both teams. With Alabama, it's just can they get enough stops, or are they going to eventually they're going to get to a point where they give up 100 points in a game. And then with Tennessee, eventually they're going to get to a game where they can't score 50, and it's going to kill them. Yeah, they're both dangerous at their best, but trusting one of those teams to be at their best for 5-6 games in a row is dicey.
You got a meat grinder game tonight in Lubbock. Texas Tech and Houston will be fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be. JT Toppin, there's a name to watch. NBA draft prospect, guys playing like the Big 12 Player of the Year. Transferred out of New Mexico. He's, depending on how you want to look at it, if you hate the portal, he's the reason why, because New Mexico got robbed of what could have been the greatest player in program history because of the portal. If you want to look at it from the standpoint of the portal is great because it allows players the freedom to go and maximize their abilities, then you love what happened with J.T. Toppin. He was able to leave a Mountain West school, go to a big.
I'm the latter. I want player liberation and freedom.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, you kind of hate it for a Mountain West team, but he's made himself a lot of money as a college player and has further endeared himself to an NBA scout. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that how will he perform against that rugged, gritty, tough Houston defense? Should be a fun game.
And it annoys me to no end to be around fans or commentators, anybody that still wants to talk about NIL and player liberation and freedom. Look, if you opt to not do it, you don't want to build that way, you don't like that, fine. Don't run down the other fella that's doing something completely legal, completely above board, and accepted by the rest of the sport. They still want to talk about them like they're doing something unseemly.
Yeah, and it's just the way it is now. And if you haven't accepted it, boy, you're falling behind. It doesn't mean that you don't feel bad. Like for example, Longwood, a little team in the Big South, only been D1 for maybe a decade. They got a coach who had a successful investment banking career and left it to go be a small Division I college basketball coach because he thought he could impact lives. He's making a quarter of what he made in the, at the top of the corporate food chain. Well, he didn't sign up to come and do the whole transfer portal thing and lose his best guys after 1 or 2 years. So, obviously, there's a downside to it, and you don't get to make the wholesale investment, in kids' lives like you used to. But it's a free market enterprise. It's no different than any other part of corporate America, where if you get a better job offer with a higher salary at a better company, you're probably going to take it.
And I would say to that investment banker, I'm sure there were some people that got in the investment banking business that weren't counting on having to operate under the Glass-Steagall Act, but you do.
Right, no doubt. So the times change, and you got to change with them. And no, it's crazy when you go out and look. And look, guys, it's crazy what's going on behind the scenes already. If you don't think that there's a few hundred kids around college basketball right now already getting that tweet ready to fire off the day the portal opens, I mean, you're crazy, right? Like that's happening right now.
How many at Kansas?
Oh gosh, I mean, yeah, right, exactly. It could be a totally different look for them next year because they're going to lose DeJuan Harris, KJ Adams, Hunter Dickinson. Store has been a flop for them, so yeah, it's going to be a totally different team at KU.
Is Bill Self going to want to sign back up for that next year at 62 years old?
Great question, Brett. Great question. I thought it was interesting the report from Barry Trammell in the Tulsa World last week that he seriously considered taking the Oklahoma State job. Now, Bill Self kind of pushed back on some of the details of the story, where he didn't really push back on the idea that he considered the job. And so he tried to soften the blow because that one might have landed pretty hard with those KU fans. But, I think there's something there that's pretty telling about sort of his satisfaction level with the way things are right now.
Wait, when did Barry leave Oklahoma City to go to Tulsa?
I know, right? Yeah, he's bounced around a little bit. That was funny. Our editor was like, whoa, I learned two things here. I learned that Bill Self almost went to Oklahoma State, and I learned that Barry Trammell writes for the Tulsa World now.
I did.
Yeah, but he's one of the best in the biz, so I don't.
He sure is, man. He has been around too.
And so I put a lot of stock in it because he knows people around that Oklahoma State program. And
he's around Self's age. He may be a year or two older than Bill Self.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's one of that old guard now. We can claim him in the SEC. The old, kind of ink in the veins sort of guys that does it the right way. And, he had a pretty good detailed report on the idea that Bill Self seriously considered going to Oklahoma State. Now, of course, if you don't know, that's his alma mater. He played there. He was an assistant coach there. And he began
roommate and best friends with Houston Nutt at Oklahoma State.
There you go. I can always I would have never known that. There you go. That is Brett Norsworthy in the shell right there, knowing that trivia fact. That is you to a T.
And their wives are besties, and that's where the story, when Houston was at Ole Miss, that's where the story came from, that he was interested in going to Kansas. Bill Self, just in conversation, said, I think we got a shot at Houston Nutt as our football coach. With the basketball beat writer told the football beat writer, and it was front page the next day.
There you go. I love it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, could he be the next one? In that 60 to 70-year-old age range. Let's throw Tony.
There's going to be one. There's going to be somebody.
For sure. There's been a handful already. The exodus from college basketball coaching over the last 5 years has been staggering.
Yeah.
And it's not slowing down. So would I be shocked? No, nothing would really shock me anymore.
David, your colleague Jerry Palm put out his newest bracketology earlier today. He has Indiana as an 11 seed playing in Dayton against Wake Forest. Is Indiana a tournament team?
They have tournament talent, for sure. I mean, they talent was never the question with this Indiana team. They've got the guys to do it. They've lost a lot of close games, too. I personally, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Indiana get to the NCAA tournament and for Mike Woodson to go out with a little bit of pride. I mean, I'll say this, he wasn't nearly as bad as Archie Miller. Well, bar to clear, but, that fan base has just been thirsting for a return to prominence. And I think Mike Woodson has done a respectable job there, but I think they're tired of just respectable. They want to be winners again.
They want to be IU.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know it'd be interesting. It'd be odd or unusual or a little maybe even uncomfortable if they got on a run, but they resurrected it over the last week with wins over Purdue and Michigan State because they was looking elite.
Brian, let's drag David into our conversation. I won't say debate, but it was a conversation we started at the end of last week. What is the football version of a Sweet 16 win? Kind of give me the basketball to football equivalency. We know Final Four in football is being in the Final Four. I think Elite Eight is the Final Eight, being in the semis. But I said the Tennessee game at Ohio State was the equivalent of losing in the Sweet 16. What do you think?
Yeah, that's about right. Because I think the reality is there's fewer teams in college football that legitimately have a chance. So, the pool of playoff caliber teams that can go and win a game in the playoff is smaller than college basketball. So it's not like you can look at a Sweet 16 win in college basketball and then say, well, it's not fair to equate that to winning a game in a tournament that only has 12 teams. I think it is, just because there's fewer teams so that are really legitimately in the mix. I mean, there are no, there's only a third as many in the FBS to begin with, and you can go ahead and lap half of them off from the start. Whereas in college basketball, you have 363, and probably 150 of them have been to a Sweet 16 at some point in the last 30 years. So,
what's the equivalent? What's a Citrus Bowl? What is that in basketball terms?
Oh, probably making it to the Sweet 16.
So you think a little higher than Bryant did, right, Bryant? Am I speaking for you, or is that out?
I mean, I think maybe a little bit, but. Yeah, I mean, hard comparison, I think.
It is. It's all right. This, David, which one's harder to win? Win it all in football or win it all in basketball?
Oh, well, okay. I think fundamentally winning 6 consecutive games in a NCAA basketball tournament is probably harder because in college football, I guess it's the round of 12, the round of 8, round of 4. You got to win
4.
They did. But it's harder to build a team in college football that can do it. Like, that's the problem. It's you can find lightning in a bottle in college basketball, and with a nucleus of 3 players, have that nucleus carry you. So the net of teams in college basketball that could theoretically make a national title game is going to be much wider than it is in college football, where you can't just find, Boise State found an Ashton Jeanty. The basketball equivalent of Ashton Jeanty is good enough to take a team to the national championship. You just need to find the one guy in basketball who can get you there. And in college football, they had Jeanty, got into the playoffs, but they needed 15 more him.
And Scatterboo got Arizona State.
Yeah, so it's hard to find. It's hard to find that depth of talent in college football and amass the war chest that you need to get those players who can take you there. So from a program building standpoint, I think it's harder to build a college football program that can compete for a national title. Now, you get to the Thursday of the NCAA tournament, with a 68-team bracket, yeah. I mean, once you get there, I think that one's harder to win than the national championship. It's just, football, to even get in the conversation, it's a much longer road.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be fun over these next couple of weeks. I mean, like Brett mentioned, we have tournament games starting on Sunday, so March is nearly here. Going to be a lot of fun. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
David Cobb joining us, talking college basketball from CBS Sports. Make sure to go over there and check all of his work out over at cbssports.com. Always a lot of really, really good stuff with David, especially as we get closer to the NCAA tournament and March Madness. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, talking more March Madness, because we got to talk bracketology. Shelby Mast, our bracketologist from bracketwag.com. He joins us next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Hey everybody, the new Silverado deal of the year, maybe the decade, is here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, where all the Silverados are. Yes, you can get financing down to 2.9, plus make no payments for 90 days. Finance your new Blazer, 1.9, no payments for 90 days. Look, it's still love month, so come get a new Silverado or Blazer. You will love no payments till May, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responders, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And if you're looking for certified Silverado Tahoe Suburbans, they're right here at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you want, Fords, Hondas, Hyundais, dozens of Silverados, they're all here. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive. AllStarAutoGroup.com.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
Ooh, got a dash light on? The AutoZone free fix finder service can read your check engine, ABS, and other warning lights to help you find the fix. You'll get an easy-to-read report with clear next steps. And we can recommend a trusted local shop if you need one. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free fix finder service with shopper friendly. Only at AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I Plug Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Good afternoon.
Sports 56 traffic.
It's starting to build right on schedule. 240 eastbound from Mill Branch out to 385 as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. It won't be long before it gets a little bit busier in the Midtown area. I-40 up by Chelsea. 40 across the I-40 bridge is already building westbound here at Danny Thomas as you head over towards West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store. Go by and see them right now. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We've talked a lot of college basketball today. We got to continue that conversation because we got to talk some bracketology. Our bracketologist, Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com, joins us now. Make sure you go over and check out Shelby's bracket over at BracketWag.com. Shelby, thanks so much for joining us today. You have Memphis on the 8 line. If the bracket was set like this, they'd be playing Texas in the 8-9 game with the winner facing the number 1 seed Auburn. Take us through the explanation of Memphis being on the 8 line.
Memphis has 2 quad 3 losses, which are considered pretty bad losses, and then a quad 2 loss to Wichita State. Not horrible, but still, that should be a winnable game. They've got no opportunities left to help themselves. They play quad 2 at UAB, quad 3 at UTSA, and 2 more quad 4 games at home. So if they drop any one of those, they're going to probably drop down to double-digit seeds, and they don't want to get in that territory where they're feeling uncomfortable on Selection Sunday.
Well, Shelby, we were talking about earlier, the 8-9's where I'm most uncomfortable. I swear I'd rather be a 10 than 8 or 9.
Yeah, that you would, but it also makes that Selection Sunday a little more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it absolutely does. What is the highest that you think Memphis can get to? I mean, let's say they win out, win the conference tournament. What is the highest that you think Memphis can get?
There's a possibility they could get up to a 6, and that's assuming that other teams above them suffer multiple losses. But it's going to take a pretty strong effort on their part, play good, beat these teams bad, and show that you are better than the 8 seed.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do that. Certainly a lot of winnable games ahead of them. A lot of talk today about Indiana. They get a big win over the weekend. What do you make of this Indiana team right now? You have them in your last 4 in.
Yeah, this bubble is so weak this year, and Indiana, with the way they've played all year, has just been okay. And, that was a great win yesterday, especially second half. But, throughout the year, it's been up and down, and you just don't know which team you're going to get. But as of right now, I have them in, and I'm comfortable with it, but there's not anybody else I feel more comfortable being in.
Yeah.
Any legitimate scenario for a second AAC team?
Win the conference tournament.
That's it.
That's it, yeah.
If Memphis wins out, there won't be a at-large North Texas.
No, I as much as I'd like it, I really want North Texas to get there, but they just don't have the resume to do it.
They give a lot of teams a lot of trouble.
They have, but they should have won a few more of those. That they're one of my hometown teams, kind of, and I'd love to see them in, but I just can't. I can't figure a way to get them in unless they win the tournament.
Yeah.
Shelby, do you think this year could be? I'm going to try to use wild language here. A searing indictment of no going back with the net rankings, or will we just forget about it and fall right back into spouting net stuff about Christmas time next year?
Probably that. I think the NCAA is sold on the net, and the fact that they're using other metrics along with the net that kind of includes everybody. So there's, if our baby messes up, we've got others to fall back on, and they're going to keep it that way. I think. I just hope they don't expand.
Mm-hmm. Right now you have St. John's on the 4 line. So much fun watching them play. I've been really impressed with the way they've been playing, especially as of late. What would they need to do to move up to that 3 line, and is there a possibility they could get to that 2 line?
I think there is. They've got, 3 games left in the regular season. At Marquette is a pretty big one. Mm-hmm. Get that win. That would be another quad 1 win. Do not lose at Butler, and definitely don't lose at home to Seton Hall. I got a feeling the 2 line is looking kind of soft, and so is the 3 line. I think there's an opportunity for them to move up. I'll be surprised if they kind of don't, but win the Big East tournament, and then they're going to probably be in the 2 line then.
And they're in the tournament, and with that, it'll be the 6th different school for Rick Pitino to guide to the NCAA tournament. That's a record. Nobody else really, really close. And he's a little bit scuzzy and a whole lot skanky, but he can really coach.
Yeah, he can coach. I give him that for sure.
Yeah, he is. It's been fun watching that team play. Kansas, maybe a team on the other side, a team that hasn't been fun to watch as of late. They're moving in the wrong direction. You have them on the 5 line right now in your bracket, especially after what we saw last year where they almost got beat by Samford.
They've never been worse than a 4 under Bill Self.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it doesn't feel like they want to be on that 5 line, especially after last year, 4-13, almost lose to Samford. It doesn't feel like they want to be that low this year because that could scare the way this team is made. I just don't really trust them. What have you seen from this Kansas team in these recent weeks?
Yeah, I don't trust them at all. They're sitting ducks. I think they're going to be, depending on who they get first round, I expect them to lose. I don't see them moving back up to a 4 unless something monumental changes. They have not looked good. I mean, a game against BYU, but BYU's coming on. Mm-hmm. But good grief, 35 points. That doesn't happen to Kansas. And
can they play their way out of the tournament?
No, they're in. But because there's just not enough time for them to lose enough to be out.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing from Kansas fans, they're ready for Bill Self to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
62 champion coach, delivered multiple championships. But, what have you done for me lately? Shelby Mast, our guest with us, talking all things bracketology. His site is bracketwag.com. We highly recommend to give it a look and give Shelby a follow. On Twitter, he's staying up all hours of the night working on late-night scrubs and brackets. And right now, your last 4 ins, West Virginia, Indiana, Arkansas, Wake Forest. First 4 out, Ohio State, Georgia, Cincinnati, North Carolina. I don't think any of those teams are very good.
No, there's none of them. But that's what I said about Indiana. I feel good for putting them in. They got that nice win. But overall, there's just nobody else left. And they want 68 teams, so they're going to get them.
Yeah. Tennessee, you have as a 2. You have Ole Miss as a 6. And you have Mississippi State as a 6. Tennessee can only move up 1 spot. Can Ole Miss or State move up? And we know they both could drop with the end of the season swoon.
Yeah, there's enough opportunity left for both of those teams to move up, possibly up to the 4 line. That would be maybe a stretch. But with the SEC conference, what's remaining of it, 4 games, they're going to be 4 tough games. No bad losses, but still you get 3 wins out of 4 and then do fairly well in the conference tournament. That's going to probably get you moved up a spot, maybe 2.
Right, and you say fairly well. Just win a game in Nashville with all the analytics, the metrics. It will help you. Here's a good example of it. Wednesday night, Ole Miss goes to Auburn. They're going to be heavy underdog. They're probably going to lose. But if they don't get just hammered, 20 or up, their net's not going to be affected by it.
No, that's not a bad loss at all. That's the beauty for the SEC now, is that you don't get a bad loss. Maybe at home to South Carolina, but that doesn't happen often.
No, it really doesn't. Who had the bigger win on Saturday in terms of keeping their NCAA tournament hopes alive? Arkansas at home against Missouri, or Oklahoma at home against Mississippi State?
Well, both of them were about equal. Oklahoma kept them in, actually moved them up a spot. They were in danger of falling out had they lost that game. And Arkansas, I think, probably needed it more because, I've been hearing all of this stuff about Arkansas playing great coming down the stretch, but they're still, you look at their overall resume, and it's just a little above average. And so it really helped both of them.
Yeah. And for Oklahoma, they're a little bit, well, not exactly, but somewhat like the Memphis Tigers, is they want that committee to remember November and December. They want them to remember beating Arizona and remember beating Michigan. Don't just judge us completely by going through this meat grinder of an SEC. Like Memphis wants the committee to remember November and December for the positives that it brought. They can't help they're in this garbage league.
Right. And I think Oklahoma will get more leeway on that because the Southeast Conference is so good and, destroys the psyche of teams. And Oklahoma had 3 very impressive neutral court wins in the preseason. And if the committee does what they're supposed to, evaluate all games equally, then that's going to help Oklahoma, I think, a little bit more than Memphis, because Memphis has that non-conference loss to Arkansas State.
Shelby, you stated that in much more diplomatic terms than I ever could have tried. I'm going to translate it. Greg Sankey, after what happened in football, he's going to be in that committee room pounding that table, and we're not letting this crap happen twice in 4 months.
Yeah. You can put their foot down.
Yeah. BYU, you mentioned them earlier. A good win for them over the weekend against Arizona. You have them on the 7 line. It feels like they're anywhere between 7 and 11, depending on what bracket you're looking at. What for you makes them a 7 seed, and how big was that win over Arizona for them Saturday night?
Well, considering they just came off that destruction of Kansas, I felt that Arizona was even more so of a win. They may have got helped by the rest at the end, but it still goes down as a win. And to do it at Arizona, that was impressive. There was no other 8, 9, or even 10 seed that had that big of a win over the weekend. And that was enough for me to move them up and to lock them in. I don't think they can lose enough games now to be out. And I like this team, but I just don't like BYU in the tournament because you got to put them in a pod where they only play Thursday and Saturday, and then put them in a region that's Thursday and Saturday. You got to make all kind of accommodations for them, and it gets tricky sometimes.
Shelby, I know you're a Duke fan. Did you see that coming yesterday? I didn't.
No, not at all. I was kind of a little bit worried going into the game.
Man, they looked incredible in that performance against Illinois. Well, Shelby, as always, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll learn a lot more this week about these teams. We'll do it again next Monday.
That was good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Shelby.
Shelby Mast with us from BracketWag.com. Our bracketologist, he's with us every Monday on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, and we appreciate that. And that performance by Duke yesterday, wow.
Oh, man. They are a really, really talented group and showed it. I mean, you got to give both coaches credit for setting up that type of non-conference matchup in the middle of conference play. But, man, it was all Duke all night.
The new Silverado deal of the year, maybe the decade, is at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, where all the Silverados are. And on those Silverados, you can get financing down to 2.9 plus make no payments for 90 days. For every new Blazer, 1.9, no payments for 90 days. It's still the month of love, so come get a new Silverado or Blazer. You'll just love the deals you can get at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. First exit, Kraft Goodman Road after you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78. And when you get there, you'll love no payments till May. Your good credit deserves it, and you'll get it at All-Star. If you're law enforcement, first responder, recent grad, educator, military, healthcare worker, instant extra $500 bonus just like that. If you're looking for a certified Silverado, Tahoe, or Suburban, they're right there at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you can imagine, Hyundais, Fords, Hondas, dozens of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get the most cash back for it today. Together, let's drive to All-Star in Olive Branch. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's get to another break. When we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good the base will marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
It's the Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett. $249 a month or buy for $18,410 gets 43 MPG. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Plug-in Hybrid PHEV. Compare to Mazda CX-90. Better range, better warranty, and we Gossett at $299 per month or buy for $42,900. Ready to upgrade your ride? Get 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. $399 a month or buy for $29,460. Plus, get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today to start your year off right. 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
MSRP 18410, PHEV RZO 59821, MSRP 489, Outlander RZO 67325, MSRP 33210, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license, CD for complete details, offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 for you, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis. To
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today is the number 13. One of the things we've talked about throughout the Tiger basketball season is the turnovers. This team has struggled with turnovers throughout this season, but you look at last night's result, only 10 turnovers for the Tigers against FAU. That now makes it 13 or fewer 13 or fewer turnovers in the last 5 games, and 13 or fewer turnovers in 7 of the last 8 games. So you look at one of those issues, and Penny Hardaway addressed it, said we're working on the turnovers, we're going to change some things and limit those turnovers, and it has worked. You can absolutely live with 13 or fewer turnovers in any game, and so we're seeing the Tigers do that, and we're seeing a lot of wins come because of that.
You just can't. You can't give the other team that many more chances, especially when you get down to those TikTok NCAA tournament games. Excuse me, I'm sorry. My big number is 21. That's the fewest wins in a season at KU for Bill Self.
Wow.
We've talked about him a lot today. He's 18-9. I think he's going to get there. But here's the schedule. Tonight at Colorado. Home against Texas Tech. At Houston. Home against Arizona.
Yeah.
If the season ended today, Big 12 brackets have them as a 6.
Wow.
That's nothing special.
No.
You could go out real early there. What if he didn't get to 21?
Man.
What if he's not going to have? He's going to have the worst seed he's ever had. And what if he's one of those guys that I've had enough of the current climate?
Yeah, I mean,
especially if they're cracking on him.
Sure, which is wild to think about, that there are fans out there, Kansas fans out there, that are saying we've had enough with Bill Self. But I mean, I think he's one of those. You mentioned his age earlier. Any of these coaches, you got to look at them and really question: are they going to want to keep doing this in kind of this new era of college basketball? Bill Self could certainly now Bill Self was doing this before it was legal, so none of this NIL and everything.
He's lucky he's not in jail.
That's true. None of this is new to him, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy, especially with the way kind of this season's playing out. You gotta ask, does he want to be around and coaching in this current era?
If Kansas opened, Bryant, save me from myself Thursday with Keith Smith. Save me from asking this.
Here we go.
I haven't brought it up about Indiana yet.
You haven't.
And Brad Stevens is completely taking his name out of IU.
Yeah.
Boy, Kansas has got to get an official no from him, don't they?
I think so. It almost feels like, though, Brad Stevens knows it now, that any big job his name's gonna get thrown in there. It almost feels like he has it already pre-written, and just whenever X job opens, he's like, no, I like it where I'm at. I don't want to coach college basketball.
Celtics.
I mean,
NBA champions.
Not many better things you could be doing.
and going to be around at minimum Eastern Conference Finals
right.
at the end this year.
That's right. I think he's fine where he's at. But, I mean.
Do I humiliate myself by asking Keith that Thursday?
Well, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, I think. 'Cause,
Save me from myself. Don't let me.
You know the answer. Keith is very consistent. You know, he gives you the same answer every time. You know where he's going to go. But
and very nice. It says, that's crazy.
He does. But, you know, I mean, you're not the only one asking it.
Then who's on Kansas's wish list?
Jeez, I mean, that is so
Nate Oates?
crazy. Nate Oates would have to be.
Chris Beard?
I think Chris Beard should be on every list. Any opening that comes up, Chris Beard should be on there.
John Calipari? With his KU roots as an assistant to Larry Brown?
He wouldn't be number one, but sure, he's on the list.
62-year-old quits, 66 takes. It doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't, and that's why I wouldn't put him on there. I'd put Scott Drew on there. I mean,
oh yeah,
you know, I
that's
think
the best name thrown out.
He's another one that any job that comes open, it feels like you got to have
except
Scott
for
Drew
Memphis.
on there.
Wasn't good enough for Memphis.
Sure, wasn't good enough for Memphis, but will be good enough literally anywhere else.
Again, how would you like to be the people that undercut Bruce Pearl and Scott Drew instead to hire Josh Pastner?
CJP.
How do you show your face?
Well, Brett, I mean, he did bring the Kings to Memphis. I don't know. I mean, it is crazy, though. I mean, Scott Drew, Bruce Pearl. I mean, those are...
Both of them just cut off at the knees.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. But, you know, I wouldn't want to do it. But, you know, I guess if you are one of those people...
And doesn't bother any of them
crazy.
A lick.
It's crazy. Because,
just keep pontificating and keep sounding like utter fools.
And now both of those guys, anytime a big-time job comes open, both of their names are the first ones that are thrown out there as home run hires. If you want to splash, if you want a home run, go out and hire this guy. So that is insane. But it would be insane if we saw an opening at Kansas.
Bruce Pearl has told people privately, I'm going to make it public, he turned Memphis down twice.
Really?
But they really did the saboteur act on him.
Yeah.
And okay, so you undercut Scott Drew, you undercut Bruce Pearl, and you get Mike Anderson at the time, and that was out there to be had. Okay, cool. Okay.
Sure.
You get Leonard Hamilton.
Sure. I'll take it.
You get Josh Pastner.
CJP. Yeah.
And boy, it doesn't knock a shuck off any of them that they participated in that.
He's great halftime on ESPN. I mean,
really is.
Love going to halftime
really
and seeing Josh up there. It's
and
fun.
And you knew the enthusiasm, his love of the game, that would shine through, and it does.
Like a glove.
He's really good.
He's
good. Much better at that than he is holding up the flashcards, getting the defense set.
He is shining in that role.
That.
Yeah. Him and Tom Crean cutting it up on the ESPN set. So is what it is. But let's go ahead and get to another break. Wrap up this second hour, and when we return, we're talking a whole lot of Grizzlies. DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, he joins us next.
Of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and pulled shoulders, all made in the house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily from the bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4040 Park across from Northern. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
Whether you're teeing off or heading into the office or kicking back to watch the big game, Travis Matthew has you covered. Their versatile, high-quality apparel seamlessly combines style and comfort, making you look and feel your best wherever life takes you.
From performance-driven styles to everyday essentials for men and women, Travis Mathew clothing is as adaptable as it is durable, making it a perfect fit for life's many moments. Ready to elevate your everyday? Visit travismatthew.com and get 20% off your first order when you sign up for email.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone. Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors? Would you like brake pads with that? How much are the brake pads? Free with the rotors. Free. Really? Really? Free. Okay, I also need some oil. Would you like an oil filter with that? Yeah, how much is that? Free. 5 quarts of oil. Free. Really? Really? Free. It's part of the A to Z savings event. It is what call it paid and free. At AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Good afternoon. It's been pretty busy today, especially trying to get out of the Midtown area. It's moving right now south of Memphis on 55 as you work your way past State Line Road all the way down into DeSoto County. Yes, it's heavy over here now on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover once again.
You say you stand by your man.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour, and we got to talk Grizzlies. Michael Cole, the Commercial Appeal Grizzlies beat writer, joins us now to talk about this Grizzlies team. All right, Michael, 1-2 in the 3 games back from All-Star break. All 3 road games, tough games against good Eastern Conference teams. Brett and I talked about it earlier, so I'll ask you the same question Brett posed to me at the beginning of the show. What kind of grade would you give the Grizzlies over these 3 games since the All-Star break?
Wait a second, and we don't allow pluses and minuses,
That's right,
Michael.
That's right.
All right. I'll keep it straight then. I'll cut straight to the chase then. Let's go with a C.
Okay,
that's what I said.
Yeah. It's a C. Look, it's about average. Look, I think if you wanted anything better than a C, at least 2-1 would have been the preferable finish in this stretch. I think you go back to that game against, the Pacers. The Grizzlies started off, really well in that game. I mean, not started off really well, but they had ways of playing really well. Like the Pacers, I think, put up, a bunch of points, in the second quarter. I think the Pacers had that 50-point second quarter, but the Grizzlies were really good in the first quarter. They were really good in the third quarter, but they just couldn't finish. So that 50-point quarter really doomed them in that game, and that was a tough one. And then even if you look at this recent loss, as well, against the Cavaliers, look, that's a team that's been so good that the smallest of mistakes are magnified and rebounding. The Grizzlies just got, they got bullied on that side of the ball. They got manhandled, and that's all correctable things, but at the end of the day, it's 1-2. It doesn't help the narrative that a lot of people have about them and their lack of success against good teams. So I give it a solid C because the one team that they did beat was the team that had the least amount of wins of the 3, and they were grateful to come out with that one.
I do think they stood up to the fight last night, though.
I think so too. And I probably would have said that earlier in the season, but I'm kind of at the point now, Brett, where we're getting close to March. We talk about the second half is a sprint, The moral victories are more of like the early season thing, and I'm with you all the way. Like, I completely believe that was a solid performance on the Grizzlies' end. Like, if you look at the numbers up and down the line, field goal percentage, both teams were around 46%. Memphis ended the day shooting better from 3-point range, even though Cleveland got hot after a terrible start. So it looked like Cleveland shot better. But the overall numbers, Memphis made more threes. They did well in other areas. It's just the one big gap was the rebounding. And even with that gap being as wide as it was, talk about I think it was 57-37 overall, and Cleveland getting 31 second chance points. Memphis still was in a close game with the Cavs, which is saying something considering that the Cavs have been blowing everyone out at home. So I'm with you, but I'm kind of limited in the moral victories at this point of the season because you're here now. It's the sprint to the finish.
This is who you are,
and either you're getting the job done at this point or you're not. Earlier in the season, it's like, okay, let's build towards that. But now, that one loss against Cleveland still puts Denver very close to you in the standings, and it just matters a little bit more now.
Yeah.
The late Paul Hartlage, longtime voice of the Memphis Tigers, he used to say about things like this. He would say, he said his grandmother would tell him, talk is cheap. It takes money to buy whiskey.
That's good. It's really good. Michael, you mentioned the three-point shooting last night. 15 made threes for the Grizzlies, but in the fourth quarter, only 3 for 12 from deep. They were getting good looks. They just couldn't knock them down.
Just couldn't knock them down, and specifically Desmond Bain. So, how much of that is to be of concern? Not a lot to me. I mean, it happens. I mean, they might come out in this next game and boom, in the fourth quarter they make 7 of 12 threes or whatever the case may be. But, certain players, when they miss threes, you're getting a little bit concerned, right? But when Desmond Bain goes 0-7 from three-point range, I'm just chalking it up as it was one of those nights, unless you get this compiled over a week or 2 week stretch. But, Desmond Bain is a guy who's shot roughly 40% from three-point range over the course of his career. I'm one bad quarter or game, however you want to slice it, shooting the basketball isn't going to deter me from thinking that he's a guy that you won't take in those same three-point shots in any other game.
The dust up over the loose ball in front of the Cleveland bench, and the Grizzlies players and the Grizzlies staffers did a great job of nobody leaving the bench area, and it was hard to sort out for Cleveland because it was right there amongst them. But I didn't think it was any big deal. The analyst on ESPN wanted to make it a lot bigger than I thought it would really was, and talking about, New York got down on Texas with Donovan Mitchell on top of Desmond Bain. I thought, just utter rot. But that'll be remembered March 14th, won't it?
Oh, yeah. I think that stuff's always remembered, and it's always specifically one player from the Cavs that's involved. I don't think that's by accident. That's the guy who played with the Utah Jazz and who was on that team that put the Grizzlies out. Remember their first ever playoff appearance? Brandon Clark, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, John Conchar were some of the guys that were on that team. And, Donovan Mitchell put those guys out. And, sure, it's not the biggest of deal in the world, but it's not something that's lost upon you. As Josh says, Josh says, I hate every team that put us out the playoffs. Most people focus on him hating the Lakers. He said, I don't like the Jazz. I don't like the I don't like the Warriors. Like, I hate anything that put us out the playoffs. And Donovan Mitchell was on those teams. So, I don't think it was too much of nothing. Things get competitive, and you got those unwritten rules in basketball, and kind of holding on to the basketball is one of those things, right? Like, it's kind of a, you don't want to surrender. You don't want the other team or the other guy to feel like they have this built-in advantage. So, that's part of that deal.
I feel like I see it every time the Grizzlies lose one of these games against one of the top teams in the NBA. People point out their record against teams above 500, 13-17 versus 500 and above. Do you put any stock into that? I see a lot of people pointing that out and saying this team can't beat the high-level teams. This is a concern for playoff. Do you put anything into that?
Do I put stock into it? Yeah. Yes. Now, the level of stock varies, and some people, I think, over-exaggerated a little bit because there's this idea that they can't compete against certain teams, and I don't think that's true. I've said before the season, I said it during the season, and I'll continue to say it until the end of the season. The Western Conference is so competitive. It's not as simple as, the 1 seed's better than the 2 seed, the 2 seed's better than the 3 seed, the 3 seed's better than the 4, and so on. It's not like that in the West. It's pretty much like that in the East. Like, that's kind of how it is in the East.
Right.
But in the West, that's not how it is. There's teams that are at 6 and 7, and it's like, if that's the team you run into in the first round, I don't know. Or if it's matchup based is my point. And I say that to say, like, with the Grizzlies, I think there are matchups that are more favorable than others. And you can make the same case for Denver. You can make the same case for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City struggled against Dallas, right? You think the fact that Dallas is in that 8-9 range, you don't think that would be a tricky first-round matchup for them? I think it would be. I'm not saying that they would lose, but it's not. They're not going to 4-0, 4-1 those guys like they would, some other teams in that range. So it's very matchup driven, and to kind of be more direct to the point here. Yes, I think the Grizzlies have struggled against the best teams in the league, but at the same time they've beaten some of those teams, and at the same time a lot of those losses have been very close. So that Knicks game, that's one that sticks out, right? You got completely blasted by them. The OKC game sticks out. Like, both OKC games, the Thunder were clearly the better team. But other than that, like, I'm looking at a lot of those losses. Like Dallas, when they beat you, it was, to the last second. 2 of those 3 Houston wins were the last minute, except you got to go all the way back to the second game of the season when Houston kind of, blew Memphis out. But the last 2 Houston wins in January were closely fought battles. And the closely fought games, that's execution to me. So that's not a talent deficiency. So you can execute better in the playoffs, because at the end of the day, in the regular season, starters are playing 32, 33 minutes in the Grizzlies' case, probably. Playoffs, that goes up 38, 39. So it's a little bit of a different game. So I'm not going to put too much stock into it. You just use your eyes. Like, it's clear to me that, OKC, that's a bad matchup, right? But Houston, for example, Houston's 3-1 against the Grizzlies this season. I still don't look at the Rockets and say, man, that team would go up 3-1 in a playoff series against the Grizzlies. I don't believe that's the case, because those games have been so tightly fought. It could go either way, just on execution.
Talking to Michael Cole, he joins us every Monday to talk Grizzlies. He's the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. Friday night, Gigi Jackson had a nice game off the bench, 12 points, 2 rebounds for him. It feels like he's starting to get more comfortable now through this month of February, averaging 11 points per game while shooting 41% from 3. It feels like after starting the season injured, now getting a lot more reps under him, feels like he's getting a lot more comfortable in this new role that's a lot different from what he was asked to do last year.
Oh, yeah, it is a lot different, and I mean, I don't know. I think he's getting comfortable from the standpoint of he's getting, playing time, and he's he's playing more, right? Yeah. In that way, but I still feel like Gigi is kind of figuring out his role on this team, because you watch him play. A lot of his shots lately have been 3-pointers, right? You look at, the last couple games that he's played, of his 7 shots, 5 have been 3-point attempts. And that's fine, but at the same time, when you think of Gigi Jackson, this is a guy we're talking about put on some muscle over the summer. And, not over the summer, but while he was rehabbing, and he's bigger. He's 6'9". He's 230. Like, he has the ability to get downhill and use this size that he has, but when he's playing on the floor with certain guys, he's spacing the floor a little bit more. Sometimes you see he's kind of getting to the cup. I think he's still kind of figuring out, like, okay, when do I be that guy from last season, right? Be that guy where I can put the ball in my hands and just get to it. Or when do I be the guy who says, hey, I'm going to, just take some pressure off of Ja, Dez, and Jaren, and I'm going to space the floor a little bit, try to keep a little attention off of them, and if the ball comes to me, I'm going to do my thing, and if it doesn't, then I'll just be a decoy. So it's kind of a balancing act that I think he's still kind of figuring out.
But fair or not, DeMichael, this team it'll only go as far as Ja carries it. Is that right?
That's fair. That's
It
very
just
fair.
is.
And
Got the ball in
and,
his hands. He got the biggest bank account.
Man, it's a tricky question in a way, because when I say this, I say it from the standpoint of Ja has to be the guy who gets the most attention, which he will be, and he has to use that to his advantage, which he has over the course of his career in terms of creating for teammates, creating for himself, and just continuously putting pressure on opponents. Now, I think like on ESPN, Kendrick Perkins said recently something of the sort that if the Grizzlies are to win a playoff series, Ja Morant has to be the best player. It depends. I don't think that always has to be the case. That's kind of the benefit of having a team like the Grizzlies, where you have, a Jaren Jackson Jr., you have a Desmond Bane, and I always remind people of the one series the Grizzlies did win in this era, when they beat the Timberwolves. Ja was great in closing situations. He had his moments, right? He dunked over Malik Beasley, completely changed that game. Desmond Bane was leading the team in scoring in that series, 50% shooting from the field, 49% shooting from three-point range, and 90% from the free throw line. Brandon Clark, when every other big on the Grizzlies was struggling, literally, Jaren Jackson Jr., foul trouble, averaged 11 points in that series. Steven Adams played off of the floor. Xavier Tillman had that one good game, game two. I think he came in, made a noticeable impact, and that was all she wrote. I mean, he was just, a mobile big that could kind of hold his own against Cat after that. But other than that, Brandon Clark was the guy who was shooting, roughly 67, 68% from the field, averaged 16, 17 points, had, a bunch of rebounds over the course of that series, was very active defensively. So the point is, yes, this team goes as far as Ja Morant goes. He's the engine, right? He's the guy who the ball's going to be on his hands the most. He's going to have to limit the turnovers. He's going to have to create for his teammates and whatnot. But this team has the ability where other guys, in waves, in stretches, doesn't have to be one guy. Doesn't have to be Jaren Jackson Jr. every time Ja has a bad game, so to speak. But they have the ability of other guys to kind of step up. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't have Ja struggle too much, so to speak. Like, Ja's got to be that guy that you need to turn it on when someone has to be that guy.
It's got to be Ja, Jaren, and Bane, and for everybody else, they're big three. That's who's got to come through. You're not expecting you're not. He could hit big shots and big momentum moments, but you're not expecting Luke Kennard to get you from the first round to the second round.
Right, exactly. It's got to be those dudes. I mean, that, like you said, that's what they're getting paid for. I mean, you paid them a lot of money anticipating that they are the core that can take you to new heights.
Yeah. Kind of along those same lines, there's a story on ESPN today where they asked NBA insiders various questions about what's going on in the NBA. One of the questions was about the Houston Rockets and the Memphis Grizzlies. How much do you believe in Houston or Memphis? This is what one Eastern Conference executive said. I trust Memphis more. They're fascinating because of their style of play. They're an elite offensive team without running pick and rolls with Ja Morant all the time. And I'm curious to see if that's sustainable in the playoffs, end of quote. So, DeMichael, do you think the style of play the Grizzlies are playing right now is sustainable in the playoffs?
No, is the simple answer. But I do think that it presents them a different option. Now, sustainable to me is, can you rely on it? I don't think you can rely on it simply because in the playoffs, the dribble drive opportunities. Like, this is such a dribble drive, cuts-based offense. The attention to detail goes up in the playoffs, right? A lot of these cuts that you get, and guys are probably thinking about what they're going to have for dinner, later in the game. Like they're probably not thinking about that, actually. But that's what it looks like a lot of times when you get a lot of these cuts. But the attention to detail defensively, like, just look at the scores. Like, you go from having all these 125 to 123 regular season games to, teams scratching to get 100, in a lot of playoff games. And it's because defensively things pick up. You're relying on your stars a little bit more. And in the simplest form, playoffs to me is all about just offensively late in the game is go get me a bucket. It's not about plays. Yeah. Everybody knows everybody plays at that point. So it's just about going to get buckets. And look, you can run the cutest, fanciest plays in the league. It doesn't really do you too much when you get late in the playoffs. Like, if you go back and look at how Boston won championship, it wasn't because they were drawing up these fancy ATOs and things like that. They were just, here you go, Tatum. You got the mismatch. Go do your thing. LeBron James in a lot of his recent championships. So
Denver 2 years ago with Joker.
Yep, Denver with Joker. We're going to play through him, and that's how we're going to facilitate this offense. So
Shocker.
Exactly. So I think you want to have this offense as an option. You don't want to get over reliant on anything. You don't want to do too much high pick and roll like the Houston Rockets or the James Harden era or Dallas with Luka at times. You don't want to get too over reliant on that because teams can kind of just jump to that and basically all out game plan for it. You want to give them options. You want them thinking, oh, will the Grizzlies run a lot of high pick and roll in this situation, or will they go back to the offense they've been running all season long where there's not much pick and rolls. You want to have that optionality, and I think that's going to be good for them. So can they rely on it? No, but I think they should definitely in no way, shape, or form think or consider abandoning it in any type of way.
Tomorrow night, Phoenix, and Phoenix they're waving the white flag, aren't they?
Man, look, that's the problem. They won't wave the white flag. I mean, they won't. They should, right? Like, it's a mess over there. I mean,
it is.
Kevin Durant, you got an all-time great who's actually, you look at his numbers and the efficiency he's playing with, he's having a really good year. But, it's just not a lot around those guys, especially him and Devin Booker. And I know we talk a lot about how Jaren has been really good against them. They doubled Jaren a lot in the most recent matchup and switched the matchups up, but that allowed, John Morant to have a little bit more success. So, yeah, the Grizzlies they match up well against that team, and it should be one that they take care of business.
2-8 in their last 10, and if they if they squeeze into the playoffs, no noise.
Yeah, they're in a rough spot. The whole idea of getting a point guard is kind of backfired on them because you could even say this when they did get the point guard. We watched Tyus Jones very closely, and I don't think we ever thought that Tyus Jones was, a tenacious or a ferocious defender in any way, shape, or form. And defense was a problem for Phoenix last season as well, and Tyus Jones hasn't helped that issue.
No. Last thing for you, DeMichael, we saw last week the Grizzlies, maybe earlier this week, or no, today's Monday. Late last week, the Grizzlies waiving Johnny Davis, but it looks like they're going to keep Marvin Bagley III. What do you see them doing with Marvin Bagley? Do you see a role carved out for him?
Yeah, it's an interesting question right there. It's something I'm actually writing about right now. So I actually got a story coming out about that tomorrow. And here's the thing. I've talked to some people, covered him over the past few years. The story's kind of going to hit on a little bit. But the thing that I got, from talking to people about Marvin Bagley is he struggled to find a position in the NBA because of the fact that, you watched him at Duke, right? You remember when him, Jaren, those guys were coming out of that draft class 2018. Marvin Bagley was thought of as a power forward. Like the skill set, he was a power forward all the way, pretty much. But he gets to the league, and of course the NBA in its ever-evolving, changing way, more power forwards are shooting the three ball well. And if they aren't, there's spacing issues. Marvin Bagley's a 29% three-point shooter over the course of his career. So that creates spacing issues at the four. Well, no sweat, right? Just move him to the five. Then you move him to the five, and you get the offensive skill set that he has at the four, at the five, and you get that production that we've seen over the course of his career. But the problem at the five is now you have a guy who's, a limited paint protector over the course of his career. He's never been, a high-volume shot blocker or rim protector in any type of way. So basically, the short answer is there's been a problem kind of finding that ideal role for Marvin Bagley up to this point of his career. But there is reason to believe that could happen in Memphis, because specifically playing alongside of Jaren Jackson Jr., that's the one I'm very intrigued to see if they'll work him in with some stretches with Jaren, because guess what? He's not a great shooter, but you can put him in a lineup with Jaren, who's going to shoot the three-point ball, and Jaren can protect the rim. So his weaknesses are more so Jaren's strengths, and then you could allow him to play to his strengths, which we've seen the Grizzlies kind of rejuvenate some careers recently. Scottie Pippen Jr. and Jay Huff.
Sure.
That's kind of been one of their specialties. So I'm intrigued by the addition. I don't think it's something that's just going to be, some major difference, so to speak, but he could have games. Like that game against Cleveland, I thought that was a game where you could throw Marvin Bagley in there, see if he could be the guy who could grab some rebounds. But we'll see.
DeMichael, let's redraft that draft. We know DeAndre Ayton wouldn't go 2, and we know Marvin Bagley wouldn't go, or DeAndre Ayton wouldn't go 1, and Bagley wouldn't go 2. Luka went 3, Jaren went 4. Way down there at 11, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Shai Gilgeous, yeah.
Who do you take, SGA or Doncic with the 1?
Man, okay. Look, I'm taking Shai.
I am too.
Simply because I'm such a defensive guy. You know, I love two-way players, and you know, I was in college. I was at the University of Tennessee when Shai was at Kentucky, and I covered that SEC championship game in St. Louis at Bridgestone as a collegiate senior. And I remember thinking at the time, like, man, Shai is so good defensively, and he was, right. But it just goes to show he's progressed so much on the offensive end that we don't even talk about his defense much, despite the fact that, like, right now he's averaging close to 2 steals and a block a game.
It's incredible. He's been so much fun to watch, and a reason why he is a huge favorite to win MVP this year.
And DeMichael, you should get a formal apology from the Daily Beacon and from the SEC that you had to draw the SEC tournament in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. That
bring your own energy.
I'm glad that you made that a point. But yeah, it was a fun experience at least, and plus it wasn't far from Memphis, so you know I got a chance to come close to home. So you know,
and I know at the time, I mean, it was just cover right, cover, just throwing everything at it. And,
it was a rough time.
You've done really well since then.
That's right.
Thank you guys, man.
Well, DeMichael, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next Monday.
All right, take care, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, DeMichael.
We will. Thank you, DeMichael. And he has done very well.
He has done he's been so much fun having him here ever since he got on the beat with the Grizzlies. You know you were getting great
That was a
coverage.
Sleepy atmosphere in St. Louis.
Yeah. Nashville and St. Louis are very different when you get the SEC tournament in town.
As I've said many times, I love St. Louis. I love the town, around town, the neighborhoods. I just never got the feeling that I'm in the heart of SEC country there.
No. Certainly not.
Baseball town, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Hockey town.
Sure. Not an SEC town.
Nah.
Far from an SEC town, but yeah, I guess Nashville will give you a little bit of that. Before we get to another break, let me remind you of our great sponsors. It's Jaguar, Land Rover, Bluff City. They're our 5 o'clock sponsor each and every afternoon. Jaguar Bluff City's been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there and test drive these beautiful vehicles at 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Old fence guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, classic arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices and top. Only gun you born in the
with Southfront Gun Inspections, appraisals, and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsAndMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Countertop Parkway behind Parky's Barbecue in Cordova.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Whitman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's still a little bit heavy over here on 40 East at Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Still moving at the moment on 240 as you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway, continuing out towards Collierville. Still moving south of Memphis at the moment as we check it out live. 55 southbound here at State Line Road all the way down into DeSoto County. Hey, if your yard needs a little bit of help this time of the year, you're not the only one. Lawn Solutions has over 30 years experience. Give them a call at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Into Sports Time, Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending. A lot trending this afternoon, but we do have the NFL Draft Combine later this week. Feels like a little early this year for the Draft Combine. I don't know if it's just in my head or not, but it just, I don't know, it feels like a little early for the Combine.
They're pretty much creatures of habit. I would think right around the same time.
Feels around. I remember March Combines, and so
I think I do too.
A February one just feels a little weird. I'm not going to complain. I like the Combine just fine.
The Underwear Olympics.
That's right. The Underwear Olympics.
Hey now.
Well, yeah, you got to be careful.
Be careful.
I was about to say I'll just keep that to myself.
Yeah. Always best.
But a good,
3-cone shuttle week.
Well, yeah, because everything comes down to how you run in the 3-cone shuttle.
That's where that's where football's made, isn't it?
That is exactly right. But it could be a really good week for a couple of former Tigers as they'll be at the Combine. Obviously, Seth Hennigan, the big name, the quarterback that was got the Senior Bowl invite, also getting a Draft Combine invite. And, I think when you look at what he did here at Memphis, getting this opportunity to show off what he can do in front of scouts again after a lot being there at the Senior Bowl, I think a great opportunity for him.
3 phases: Senior Bowl, Combine,
right.
Pro Day.
Yeah,
and you got to nail those. And if you do, you're probably on a team on opening day for Seth.
Yeah, and so I think he's in a really good spot, and it will be fun to watch because you look at really I think. Dylan Parham, I believe, got an invite to the combine. I know Calvin Austin got an invite to the draft combine. It's always fun, but certainly having a quarterback there at the draft combine, seeing those guys throw, having a receiver at the draft combine. Rock Taylor's going to be there as well.
And this isn't a great receiver draft.
No, and so this could be a great opportunity
Chance to
for
show
Rock
out.
Taylor, and a guy that you haven't heard his name thrown out there a lot in terms of the bowl games and the showcase games, but certainly got some eyes on him and got the invite to Indy, and so definitely a good opportunity for him.
Shedeur Sanders announcing he's not going to throw until pro day. That's fine. You handle it. Whether you whatever you want to do, whether you want to go to Mobile, don't go. You want the whole process in Indianapolis or not.
Sure.
But pro day, they most all have to participate.
Yeah, and I don't
'Cause we're
blame
getting
any
close
of these guys. Yeah, certainly. And, I don't blame any of these guys, especially, Shedeur Sanders. You got to imagine, obviously his father, but plenty of people in his camp that, have been around NFL locker rooms and have been around draft day processes.
They know what it takes.
They know what to do, what not to do, what they can and can't do. And so
And an opening for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, that's
he's going to
thing.
throw.
That's right, and I think we've talked about him a ton since the end of the season, of that guy whose name you hear all over the place, of a real riser before the draft, and so could be a great weekend for Jackson Dart.
I just wonder if he'll go in the first round, and if you go in the first round, aren't you kind of expected to be the opening day starter?
Yeah, and that's
especially now.
Yeah.
How they rush the quarterbacks through.
That's the thing, is we see so many guys, and I know Johnny Radio likes to talk about it a lot, but you see a lot of guys, they get drafted, they get that high pick first round, and immediately that fan base wants to see them out there. And a lot of times that front office wants
they want
them to
Jaden
be
Daniels.
Exactly. They want to be in, and that's the problem. You have Jaden Daniels that goes out there and do it, CJ
Makes it look
Stroud that
easy.
goes out there and makes it look really easy. But for all those other guys drafted in the first round, it's a little more tough.
Stephen Jones with the Cowboys today, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but basically said it's time to start looking at a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a quote that will have Cowboy fans split, and
not for next year.
No,
it's just.
But
so what about the Cowboys? Late first round, drop down, trade around, and they take Jackson Dart to groom a year or two under Dak Prescott.
I'd be fine with that. But the problem we have in the NFL now, it goes back to what we were just talking about, of drafting those guys in the first round and you want to see them immediately out there. It's the same thing we saw with Jordan Love a couple years ago, where they take him in the first round as we want to put him in the system and
most
and
popular
have him
guy on the
learn.
team, backup quarterback.
Exactly. And then immediately, next day, nobody's talking about who was taken 1
That's
through
right.
10. Everyone was talking
Great
about, oh man, the Packers, they drafted a quarterback in the first round. It's just such a tricky game to play.
It really is, and that Dallas,
it's going to be
just
times
local,
a million.
Oh, local Dallas media. And then when Jerry Jones does his Tuesday radio hit, and he just won, well, maybe we need to start getting the rookie from Ole Miss some playing time.
Exactly. And I'm telling
Then
you.
you got full controversy.
And ESPN, CBS Sports,
Feed off of.
NFL Network, they want nothing more than the Cowboys to go out there and draft Jackson Dart late first round, so that that would be a block on every single show the following day. Is Dallas have a new quarterback this year? I mean, it would run the sports world.
The places that look like they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, I don't know if I want Dart at any of those.
Well, and again, that's the problem.
But that's why they're drafting a quarterback.
Exactly. That's why they're looking for a quarterback
They
in
stunk.
the first round of the NFL draft. But you look at this offseason and you look at some of these teams that might be in need of a quarterback, and the big question is, do they go out there and draft a guy, or do they look at one of these quarterbacks that are going to be a free agent, one of these quarterbacks that are going to be in the trade market, and try to go with a more experienced guy than maybe one of these young quarterbacks?
If Jackson Dart goes to New York, I've talked about it, the inevitable comparisons to Eli Manning, for the really, 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 really old crowd. Even back to Charlie Connery, you got to be really old.
Well, yeah.
But they will be made. That won't be fair because Eli didn't. I mean, he didn't start a rookie year.
No.
I'm going to say well into the second year before he started, and it was a demotion of Kurt Warner. And Kurt Warner was hot about it. He was saying, I'm better than he is. I shouldn't be. I mean, I know he's the franchise, but I should be playing.
Yeah.
And he was not very pleasant about it.
Well,
and goes to Arizona and proved that he was right.
he showed that he did have a lot that he could do. So I just pulled up just a random mock draft. It's a Tankathon mock draft. It's just the first one that popped up, so nothing. I don't like this site better than the other for mock draft. They have Jackson Dart going 37th overall, so that would be the 5th pick in the second round, to the Raiders.
Raiders would be drafting a quarterback before that one.
It feels like it. It feels like the Raiders either take a quarterback early or they go out and get a veteran quarterback. It doesn't feel like they would be waiting to the second round to try to draft a quarterback.
If they draft him, you know what it's going to be.
What's that?
My Raiders.
Is that any team he goes to? Any team Jackson Dart gets drafted to is going to be your team? Well,
any team for him, any team for Quinshawn Judkins, any team for Trey Harris, and any team for Walter Nolan.
Brett,
so I'll have 4 teams.
That's a lot of teams.
It's a lot of teams.
It's a lot of teams. For your sake, I hope Jackson Dart does not land with the Raiders. But, I was going to say there could be worse, but I don't know if there are.
Maybe my favorite helmet in the league.
It's a good helmet.
Great lid. Great lid.
It's a good helmet. It's not a great product on the field.
Sure hadn't been.
For a while.
And so unbelievable because Al Davis was certified genius. I may be off a day or two, but around his death, I think Steve Jobs passed at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to, I don't know if it was a sports guy or a business, but somebody wrote that they were the same genius. They were the same trailblazer.
Okay.
One with /.com and the other one with, cover corners.
Wow.
That they were the same trailblazer person. And it was well done.
Wow.
I can't remember what it was in, but
wow,
it was really good.
Wow, I'll have to try to find that.
And Al Davis, I promise you asked, just out of the blue, asked Bo Marchand, number 1 front office person of all time in the NFL, he'll say Al Davis.
I believe it. How about this? I just went a little further. Quinshawn Judkins on this mock draft. 3rd round, 4th pick in the 3rd round, Raiders.
Man, it won't even be close. Where's Trey Harris?
I was just about to say, I like where they have. I like it's not the Raiders. It's not Vegas, but I do like this fit. I would love to see this Trey Harris, Baltimore. I think that would be good. That would be a really good fit.
And I just would like to remind everybody, Trey Harris missed half the year last year.
Yeah,
hurt.
That's right. So I mean,
to have had him healthy all year, I sure would have liked it.
Yeah, and I that would be a lot of fun. I mean, I think that'd be a really good fit. For
late in the game, late in the Gator Bowl, I'm down on the field freezing to death. I think I've been cold since the Gator Bowl.
Well,
down on the field late in the game, and Trey Harris wanted us just to mic him up and him have running commentary down the stretch of the game.
That would have been fantastic.
We almost did it. Because it was just such a blowout.
I was about to say, that was the game to do it. If you were going to try something like that out, that was the game to do it.
He said, just wire me up.
Just wire me up. I don't know if we can do that, Trey. That is...
I said, that's not my call.
Yeah. We'd have to go a lot higher up, and we don't have enough time for that. But
and the real truth, it was going to cut into my talk time. So, no, I can't. It would not.
So, Trey, stay in your corner.
Yeah.
Stay out there on the field, and I'll stay here on the mic. No. But no, the Combine's going to be a lot of fun this week. I know other news that came out today, Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back, he also announced he will not work out at the Combine. So he'll save all of his on-field for his pro day.
I think he's shown enough. I think there's a lot of tape out there.
I think
taking every hit. Those UNLV games especially.
Oh yeah.
Because Barry Lamar, Dave Odom had a great plan for him.
Yeah.
And they were hitting him every play.
They sure were.
And he kept on plugging.
Oh yeah. No, that's a really good point. But it feels like for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, the guys that decide, hey, I don't want to participate during the combine, they usually are already in a pretty good spot that they really don't need the combine to go out there and impress anybody. And I definitely think both Shedeur and Ashton Genty, I think both of them are in that category right now.
Eli's first start, game 10 of his rookie year.
Wow.
No chance Dart gets that long.
No.
Because everything has changed since then.
It sure has. And especially, I mean, if he...
By their standards, they have no money in these quarterbacks.
Right, yeah.
Rookie quarterbacks.
Exactly.
The Giants had a fortune in Eli.
Sure, yeah. So, no, a big week for a lot of people, and definitely for, obviously, the Ole Miss guys, the Memphis guys. Going to be a fun week at the Combine. We'll certainly talk more about that.
What team for Seth?
I don't have Seth on here. So this, I don't know how many rounds this goes to, but it does not have Seth on here. I don't believe it has Rock on here
What about
either.
Seth Hennigan as the backup heir apparent protege to Dak Prescott?
People can't see it right now. I have 2 thumbs up. I sign up for that immediately.
Jersey buying immediately?
Oh, yeah. Give me a Hennigan
Yeah.
Dallas jersey. I'm all for that. I mean, that'd be a good mix. You know, I think, you know, we know what he can do on the field. We know kind of that archetype of son of a coach, just eats that up.
From the area.
I think going in
Good
there.
story.
It would be a great story, and it's a guy that I think you can get late and where you don't have huge expectations
Be
on him
patient.
immediately. You can let him sit around.
You know, they
learn
drafted
everything.
a guy one time from Mississippi State with kind of that same
did.
template.
Sure did.
Named
Sure
Dak
did.
Prescott.
Yes, and he has had a good run at it. So, no, I would love that. And
Boy, I hope Seth signs for the cash that Dak's got.
well, yeah, it'd be great if he could.
Won't it?
Anybody that could go and get Dak
Anybody.
Prescott money.
I love it when they do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to see. So no, it's gonna
Who's
be a
this
fun
fella
week.
in here with us? Well, I know Landon had to go early.
Yeah. Connor back in here. How about that?
Connor
So,
blowing up Tiger Bankroll now.
Yeah. He had to make his presence shown because he's doing so well.
Great,
Tiger Bankroll,
great wagering.
So, yeah, don't.
I'll just let y'all know I'm going.
You're going.
I'm going.
You're gonna go all out for the
All
Tiger
out.
Bankroll. So.
Battle's joined, huh?
Here we
Okay.
go. Yeah, Brett, you got competition now.
Fine, bring it on.
Play the defense all you want, but it sounds like he's
Won't
going
be
long.
any defense. I'm going into alley-oop slam dunk fest.
Wednesday night, Memphis Rice. We'll see.
I'm going to adjust that wager right now.
We'll see if anybody throws the long ball. Let's go ahead, get to our final break. When we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Breakfast is what you make it, and maybe, just maybe once in a while, you want your breakfast to have a little kick to it. That's why Sunrise doesn't just feature a full bar, they feature drinks that scream, have me with breakfast. Ever had a breakfast shot? They mix Jameson with butterscotch schnapps, then add an OJ chaser and a bite of bacon, and you'll feel like you've just had a taste of pancakes, but with alcohol. Another Sunrise specialty is the wake-up call, vodka, Red Bull, and lime, and you can keep the can. As always, the food at Sunrise is unrivaled, and they have a full bar.
He's coming. Here we go. Surprise! Your table saw broke. Also, the warranty expired weeks ago, so you need to pay for a new one out of pocket.
We know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Oh, and the replacement part you ordered doesn't fit, so it's completely useless.
What a waste! Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and invoice line. Plus, price lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet. Exclusions and taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. Up to $15 upgrade with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Fees vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the babies crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, a fun story over the weekend in college baseball. University of Maryland Eastern Shore picked up a win. This is notable because the last time the University of Maryland Eastern Shore won a baseball game was May 20th, 2023. They had lost 55 straight games before picking up a win.
Is that a snide or scuffling?
It's a disaster, I think. I mean,
disaster.
maybe a grisaster. I don't know.
Yeah,
but, that is not. It was so bad, and it was great to see. The video made rounds on social media, but I mean, it looked like once they won, they didn't really know what to do. They were all just kind of standing there, happy, but they didn't really know what to do. So, a fun story. Maryland Eastern Shore, first win since 2023. Now, I mean, throw the records out. No matter what you do the rest of the season, you've already doubled up your wins from last year. So, I mean,
quick, how hard one? What's the sport that it's most excruciating to be in that you're just getting your teeth kicked in?
That's a great question. It might be baseball.
It is because the season's so long.
The season's so long. It's a long game. It's kind of the games play out slower. I mean,
and the humiliation of the mercy rule.
Yeah, I forget about the mercy rule. That's also true. Yeah,
it is baseball.
Yeah,
and I was on some good baseball teams. No, I was on some bad ones too.
I was on some bad baseball teams, Brad. I'm right there with you.
You know how bad my when I was 12, my little league team was?
How bad? Oh, no.
I was the All-Star game rep.
Were you really?
That means you're really bad.
Wow, I mean, you got to take a lot of pride in that.
No, every team got a rep, and I was as
put
good
it
as
on
it
the
got.
resume.
No, we were that bad. What I learned, 13 of 43 in the net from the SEC. Top 43, 13 of them from the SEC is devouring each other right now and giving some reason to criticize the SEC. People are starting to crack on it a little bit that it's not that good. I guarantee you, if you played in it, you'd know how good it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just you watch these games.
There's no soft landing cream puff game.
No. I mean, every game is tough. I mean, even South Carolina, who, congratulations, South Carolina, finally got their first win in conference play. I mean, they've been playing everybody tough. You play a game at South Carolina, and that's why I said last week, they're going to win one of these final home games because they've been
in fact,
so good.
That 12-year-old year, I was 2 for 3 in the All-Star game and made a pretty good catch. I thought I should have been MVP.
No kidding. Wow. Well, that happens sometimes. But, hey, good stat line. And I'm saying, put it on your resume. All-Star nominations.
12 years old.
Love
Last
that.
year, Little League.
That's fantastic. What I could have done without today. Scary scene over the weekend for IU Indianapolis. They just changed their name. IUPUI is what they've been for such a long time. But on the way home from their game against Northern Kentucky, their bus caught on fire. Now, thankfully, everyone was able to get off the bus. But, I mean, bus completely engulfed in flames. This was what Jeff Goodman had to say. Just got off the phone with IU Indy head coach Paul Carasso, and thankfully no one on the bus was hurt. The team was driving back to Indy after its game against Northern Kentucky, and there was a mechanical issue. The bus pulled over to the side of the road. Driver and one of the coaches got out to take a look, and then the fire started on the back of the bus. Everyone got off the bus, but most of the players and coaches didn't have a chance to get their belongings before the fire, before it was engulfed in flames.
Got all their gear and their stuff?
Got everything. The team was basically backpedaling, jogging backwards a mile down the road when the bus blew up. Players and coaches lost laptops, team gear, personal belongings. Most of the suitcases down in the bottom of the bus were completely burned. So just a really terrifying, scary situation for that team. Thankfully, nobody hurt.
I could have done without Joel and that knee.
Oh, man.
Joel and the $250 million that Philly's going to owe him with every cent guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
He's been paid very well. He's never won anything.
No.
Didn't it, KU? Not even been to an Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. Does anybody still want to have the Jokic versus Joel debate?
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it's just one of those. The injuries, he cannot get rid of them. I mean, when the times he is healthy, he's
Olympics
great.
hurt his knee.
Yeah, it did, and he has not been right ever since. And it sounds like you just said, that they could be going
he got
surgery
booed.
route. He sure did. I mean, decision play for the U.S. It gets you sometimes. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to number 3 in the net, Houston, at 7 in the net, Texas Tech in Lubbock.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, a 1.5-point favorite. Old Southwest Conference game, 100th year of Texas Tech basketball. Guns up.
Yeah.
Houston leads all time 31-28.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun game. ESPN game, 8 o'clock. Beam me, though, to a game that starts a little bit before that. Michigan on the road against Nebraska. A game's going to be on FS1 tonight. Michigan has been playing really well. Number 12 in the country, 20-6 on the season on the road against Nebraska. Tough place to play. I mean, we saw those Cornhusker fans come down here for the NCAA tournament last year. So
They
you know,
were great.
Oh, they were fantastic.
They brought the energy.
They did. And so you know, with the ranked team coming into their house, they're going to have a great environment tonight. Michigan, a slight favorite tonight on the road. We'll see if they can pull it out.
And Tiger fans, you need to watch Nebraska. A lot of these mock brackets have a potential Tiger Nebraska Cornhuskers game. 8 NBA games tonight. Clippers at Detroit, Denver at Indiana. Go East.
Yeah, no, go East in a lot of these games, and you got a good opportunity with some of these East versus West matchups. Also, I got to say this, shout out to the Detroit Pistons. I saw this earlier today. They picked up their 31st win of the season yesterday. Between 2022 and 2024, 31 and 133 was their overall record. Now, just this season, 31 and 26. Yes, that is a schneid for sure. So, Pistons, they're back in action tonight against the
Detroit
Clippers.
basketball
That's right.
town.
I mean, people getting excited about Detroit.
He was the first best PA guy.
Yeah, no, you are
with the hype.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, and he's great. It's a fantastic chant, one that feels like all sports fans know and love. But that's all the time we have. Some good NBA tonight, a couple good college basketball games to keep an eye on. But enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.